It's the midweek, and we welcome you aboard the AM show for another installment this morning. Now, coming up, right after the news, we'll be having a chit-chat with political scientist and director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. He'll be our guest as we get into the newspapers and what they have to share with us, followed by sports with Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. But then we get into the big stories for the day, and of course, the first one has to do with the governing New Patriotic Party. Now, on the back of Alan Kyerematen's tirade, if you like, the party has denied claims by the former trade minister that the party has been hijacked by a select few. Mr. Kyerematen on Monday resigned from the party, opting to run as an independent candidate. And General Secretary of the MPP, Justin Frimpong-Kodia, says government appointees, including cabinet ministers who openly declared support for Alan Kyerematen, were still at post. Well, we'll be hearing from both sides of the coin today, those pro-Alan forces and those anti-Alan forces, likely those who are going to stay put with the MPP. Well, also featuring this morning, National Security Minister Albert Kandapah is suing, yes, he is suing social activist Oliver Barker-Vormawor for his claim that he was offered $1 million to halt the Occupy Jolobi House demonstration. We'll be speaking to lawyer and politician Alhaj Inus Afuseni on this beat. It'll be good as well if we have the opportunity of interacting with Oliver himself on the back of these developments. We'll also be heading to Buipe for an update on the flooding situation. Over 1,500 people have been displaced. What is the latest? We'll bring you that on the show this morning. Then again, since it's a Wednesday, courtesy of EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank, would be coming your way with AM Business. And today, we focus on housing as we interact with real estate company Elegant Homes, which is offering its customers a whopping 10% discount on all purchases made. We'll bring you details of this later on the show. We'd also love to hear from you, so shoot us your messages in the course of the live stream, and let's hear from you at the tail end when we activate the phone lines. On that note, let's settle for the news up next. Welcome to the news belt of the AM show. And in our first story, the Ministry of Health says it is working to manage the trend where a number of health professionals continue to leave the country on a daily basis. Speaking at the 75th anniversary celebration of the Cape Coast Nursing and Midwifery Training College, the Diocesan Health Director of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Barnabas Yeboah, indicated the conditions of health professionals would be improved to keep them in the country. There's more in this report.
Dr. Yeboah acknowledged the phenomenon where many health professionals leaving the shores of Ghana and revealed that the ministry is actively working to manage and mitigate the effects of the trend, ensuring that the nation's healthcare workforce remains robust. Dr. Yeboah praised the invaluable role played by the training college in nurturing the country's healthcare professionals and encouraged the institution to persist in its pursuit of academic excellence and the development of highly skilled healthcare personnel.
As you all know, the world is currently experiencing a global phenomenon of migration due to shortages of nurses in high-income countries. It is a reality, and the ministry is aware that a lot of nurses and midwives are leaving the country for greener pastures. But the ministry is very much aware, and what we are trying to do is to manage the migration, because we cannot stop people from leaving, but we can maintain some of you here. So it's a mixture of whether you want to serve your country or you want to leave your country. Yeah, but the point is that why are people coming to Ghana to take our nurses away? Because of quality training. And NMTC Cape Coast is one of the best schools.
The principal of the Cape Coast Nursing and Midwifery Training College, Jemima Fatia Kon unveiled the institution's ambitious plan to make quality health care services accessible and affordable to all by the year 2030. She outlined the objectives of the anniversary celebration, which center on collaboration with stakeholders to achieve universal health coverage.
Though the college has made remarkable feats over the years, it continues to face several challenges as it strives to contribute its quota to attain universal health coverage. Our dear college faces challenges in securing adequate funding to implement programs to contribute towards attaining universal health coverage. What's more, the college faces inadequate infrastructure and high costs, in fact, high cost of maintaining existing ones. We also have inadequate skilled human resource personnel, because if you want to increase the intake and also want to improve on the quality of care, then of course you would need skilled personnel to augment the process.
The executive president of the Center of Awareness, Professor Samuel Atudankan, stressed the profound connection between healthcare and peace. He urged increased support for healthcare service providers, emphasizing that the center's assistance to the training college complement the government efforts.
And this is where they are training nurses. And at the point where they don't have, there's electricity to power the ICT lab, that was where we came in to just support. And to me, it is also a support to the government. We are just working to complement the effort of the government. It is not everything that the government can do.
The celebration marked a significant milestone in the journey towards improved healthcare delivery in Ghana, showcasing the collaborative efforts of government bodies, healthcare institutions, and concerned stakeholders in advancing the nation's healthcare sector.
Now, almost 7 months ago, medical doctors at the Wa West District Hospital depended on mobile torchlights to conduct medical surgeries at their theatre. But the problem has been fixed following a Joy News report highlighting their plight. Edward Boakye Trust Fund has fixed and mounted 2 new theatre lamps at the hospital to augment service delivery. Rafiq Salam reports.
The lamp is the second eye for us, for both the nurses and the doctors when you are doing an operation. You have your own eyes, but when you are operating and you go into a cavity, a body cavity, you will not be able to see clearly. And it's like walking in the night without a torchlight. We have to rely on these lamps that we have, and at times we use our phone lights. There are times you would have to ask 2 or 3 people to help with their life.
The cry for help from the medical superintendent of the Wa West District Hospital, Dr. Benjamin Amiyuri, on March 5, painting a mental picture of the challenges they go through using mobile phone torchlight for medical surgeries as a result of a malfunctioning theatre lamp. As Senior Achebe puts it, the cock belongs to an individual, but its crow belongs to the whole community. The passionate appeal made by Dr. Amiyuri is therefore not for himself or for the hospital, but for the almost 100,000 residents in the district that, in terms of poverty ratings, is among the 5 poorest in the country. The theatre light at the hospital had not worked for almost 2 years, and doctors depended on mobile torches to be able to perform surgeries on patients. When Joy FM broke the story on the Super Morning Show, the millions of listeners listening to the show cringed and could not believe what they were hearing. Many of them pledged to contribute monies to buy the theatre lamp for the hospital, which was valued around 35,000 Ghana cedis. In the middle of the program came the Edward Boakye Trust Fund, and they pledged to pay the full amount of the 35,000 Ghana cedis. A pledge they later redeemed in less than a week, and the money paid direct to the accounts of the Wa West District Hospital. Joseph Adongo is the administrator of the hospital.
We sent out requests for quotations, and a number of suppliers responded. I think about 5 or 6 of them responded. And in fact, we gave a very long period for them to respond because we wanted to get the best. So at the end, I think 5 or 6 responded to our request. Yes, 5. And the entity tender committee sat down to go through all the quotations.
The Warwick District Hospital has been able to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. What the authority at this hospital has done is to add an additional 4,000 Ghana cedis to the 35,000 Ghana cedis that was provided to them to buy the theater lamp. And so they had 39,000. They bought 2 lamps, one which is rechargeable and which is a halogen bulb, and the other one which is also non-rechargeable and which is LED. And so these are the bulbs that they have at their disposal, and already they are having the old one which was malfunctioning, which has now also been repaired.
In our next story, the National Democratic Congress has vowed to undertake a series of actions to evict the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Philip Addison, from office. The minority has begun a town hall meeting to mobilize citizens for its Occupy Bank of Ghana demonstration on October the 3rd. Now, speaking at the town hall meeting at Bese in Accra on Tuesday, Member of Parliament for Ningo Prampram, Sam George, said the protest was the genesis of actions to get the governor out.
This is the beginning of the end of the Bank of Ghana under Philip Edison, under Dr. Edison. This is the beginning of the end of the Akufo-Addo Bawumia dictatorship. This marks the death knell of this draconian, irresponsible, reckless, and insensitive government. People, the fact that today a liter of fuel is almost the cost of a gallon of fuel under John Mahama is as a result of the poor management of this Bank of Ghana governor and his people. And look, we owe it as representatives of the people. I owe it to the people of Ningo Prampram who voted for me to ensure that I hold the Bank of Ghana to deliver better services. And if Dr. Edison has shown that he's a printer. He must leave the Bank of Ghana and go to Newtown. Printers are based in Newtown. They print there. You should go and print and leave the Bank of Ghana for a proper manager of the physicals of Ghana. We're in a complete mess. The economy is in a free flow. Look, Ghana has not started servicing its debt obligations for almost a year. And they're telling you that the currency is stable. Let us start paying our debts and let's see what will happen. And to think that in the middle of this, Addison is building day and night, 250 million, $250 million as an office for himself. How reckless and insensitive can you be?
Now, Ghana's waste sector contributes more than 7% of the country's greenhouse gas emissions, catalyzing climate change and global warming. With the government hoping to drastically reduce the environmentally hazardous gases by 2030, researchers in the country have commenced a computational pilot study to convert the heaps of municipal organic waste into cleaner fuel alternatives, including green hydrogen. On Climate Focus, Emmanuel Bright Kweku joined researchers at the International Conference for Renewable Energy in Africa to explore the potential of integrating biohydrogen generation into hybrid waste to energy.
Heaps of garbage at a dam site collected. In this chunk of rubbish are a mixture of solid organic waste materials, scraps, plastics, amongst others. In Ghana, organic fraction of municipal solid waste accounts for 48 to 69% of the waste generation, either disposed of indiscriminately or incinerated without energy recovery. At the maiden international conference on circular economy, renewable energy and green hydrogen in Africa, scientists uncovered the potential of converting these organic wastes into green hydrogen, a cleaner and emerging fuel alternative. Ghanaian researchers at the Institute of Industrial Research under the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research have commenced a pilot study at a hybrid waste-to-energy plant at Jankoba in the Ashanti region. Dr. Mutala Mohammed is a principal investigator.
The project is to be able to convert organic waste into biogas, and we are supposed to do about 100 to produce 100 kilowatts of energy. That's biogas from the organic fraction of the municipal solid waste. And in doing so, because it is a pilot plan, as researchers, we wanted to actually go further to be able to see how we could actually convert the biogas from the organic waste further into hydrogen. So currently there is a pilot sort of like facility at the place, and the infrastructure is actually being put in place to be able to produce the hydrogen from the biogas that will be produced at the place.
Not only do they reek of bad scents, wastes are a threat to the ecosystem. According to the Environmental Protection Agency, the waste sector contributes 7% of the country's greenhouse gases, which are precursory elements for global warming and climate change. Through a steam process, the organic waste is converted to biogas and ultimately hydrogen.
As I said earlier on, once you produce the biogas that will be produced from the organic material, then you put in the necessary facilities and equipment to be able to convert the biogas into hydrogen. There are a lot of different technologies that is actually being used, but in this process we are actually looking at the steam methane reactor system to be able to convert the biogas into hydrogen.
Alternatively, green hydrogen gas can be produced through electrolysis of water with oxygen as another byproduct. Research suggests that Africa has an untapped potential of producing 10 to 18 metric tons of hydrogen by the end of 2050. But including South Africa, Kenya and Egypt, only 6 African countries are harnessing the potentials of green hydrogen, with none of the remaining countries located in West Africa. Professor Dr. Satyaranayana Nara is with the University of Rostock, Germany.
So the world is moving, and everybody sees that green hydrogen is the future for us, because we don't have fossil fuels. Biomass is also very valuable for us, even though in West Africa and in Sub-Saharan Africa you have a huge amount of biomass. But like we cannot degrade our own forests and state the climate change is happening. So we need to protect our natural resources and try to find an alternative fuels. And this is where hydrogen plays a major role, and especially the green hydrogen plays a major role because it is produced from green resources or using green energy sources, and based on which this is a most sustainable pathway. So if Africa can tap onto this, then you are on the best way. And you can even try to reach a certain level before the other countries can even get to.
As a natural decarbonizer, green hydrogen could be used as a fuel alternative, feedstock and energy storage. While the country races against time to harness waste to energy, an energy expert, Dr. Ayobami Solomon Oyewo, is cautioning against the environmental impact of methane gas leakages through the process.
The methane leak is quite very injurious to the environment. So methane conversion directly for consumption is no-brainer. We'd rather have hydrogen, methanol, ammonia, and fish trough liquid fuel. So rather go for the important fuel, hydrogen, because hydrogen is the primary precursor or primary ingredient for ammonia that we need for the ship, methanol that we need also, and also for the chemical and even for direct consumption of ammonia in the industry.
As scientists work to reduce production costs to less than $1.5, a policy framework on green hydrogen production for the West African sub-region is being constituted, pending implementation of actionable plans. Dr. Bruno Kobo is Regional Director of the West African Science Service Center on Climate Change and Adapted Land Use.
We ambition to produce 0.5 million of tons of green hydrogen by 2030 and 10 million of tons per year by 2050. This is the policy. And now This policy is adopted on 6th of July 2023, this year, just a few months ago. This policy has been endorsed by the head of states of ECOWAS countries, of all the ECOWAS countries. And this policy, it's clearly mentioned that the objective is to position the ECOWAS, the region, as one of the most competitive supplier of green hydrogen in the world.
With the continent contributing less than 4% of emissions, but still bearing the brunt of climate change, an adoption of climate-resilient energy sources can mitigate the worsening impacts of the crisis. For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright Kweku.
Now, old students of the various senior high schools across the country are being urged to support the infrastructural development in the schools they attended. Headmistress of the Swedru Senior High School, Gold A.C. Andam, says many schools are going through difficulties and such a show of support will help the schools deal with the challenges they grapple with. She spoke when an old student, Dr. George Ejekum Donko, the president and chairman of the board of the ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development, built a bungalow for the school.
Swedru Senior High School, a historic institution founded by Ghana's first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, has reached out for assistance to address pressing accommodation and infrastructural challenges. Headmistress of Swedru Senior High School, Golda Andam, recognizing the urgency of their challenge, says the school's management presented the matter to the board for consideration, and after deliberations, the board agreed that individuals, organizations, and donors willing to fund accommodation projects will be allowed to name the buildings they support.
I'm talking about supervision monitoring. It's very, very important. And in order for you to achieve that, you need more hands. And so looking at our student population, and then as for the staff, we have enough, although we still need more, but we have enough for now. But the accommodation is the challenge. And so we are using this opportunity to call on anybody at all, philanthropists, old students, missions, donors to come to our aid. And at least you have that privilege of being named, when you are able to put up a structure for the school. And I believe that when you do that, you would have served mankind and you would have helped in the generations to come, as in for teachers to come and then support. There are so many challenges that the school has, but this one is an initiative by the board, and I believe that whoever decides to come and join would be appreciated by having a name. As old students, I would say that SWESCO old students, they are doing so well already. But I think this particular project, probably a lot of people haven't been introduced to. We have started moving. We haven't ended the movement or crusade to call on people. And so we are asking that all old students who are in that capacity should come on board. And then you support with the accommodation and other things that you can to help the school. I would also say that our school wall, for instance, it is not complete. And so because of that, one, it has become a thoroughfare. We have invasion of cattle. Recently, we had cattle invasion, but it is now under control. So that is also another major problem aside the accommodation.
The ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development, through the usual support for schools in the sub-region, decided to support. President and chairman of the board of the bank, Dr. George Ejekum Donko, says the purpose of his donation is to address the present accommodation challenges faced by both staff and students of the school.
The school has given us a lot, and it's time for us to also give back to the school. Other endeavors have really engaged our attention over the period, and therefore the possibility of ignoring your matter is very high. But thankfully, the visionary leadership of Ms. Golda Andam, A.C. Andam, who's the current headmistress, for coming to Togo to discuss the issue of putting up some of these bungalows for the masses. Because as you are very much aware, the student population has gone up tremendously. They are almost about 4,000, and only few masses are on campus due to the lack of accommodation. And that will definitely affect teaching and learning. So I wanted also to contribute to the school by, constructing this block to advance at the course of teaching and learning. And as you can see, 2 masses will be accommodated here, and here about 4 masses. So definitely it's going to not totally resolve the challenge on campus, but at least it will go a minute to mitigate the challenges. And we believe that other students should also come on board to all students. PSCs should come on board and also assist the school. The education is a shared responsibility. The government cannot shoulder all the responsibilities. So it behoves all of us, especially those of us who have received something from our various institutions, to come back and support the institutions.
The donation coincided with the school's mark of the Founders' Day for the founding father of the school, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. The school's alumni motivated the younger ones through their speeches. Richard Kwejenyakon, Joy News, Swedru.
It's a wrap for the news, and up next we serve you the news review with Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. We'll be right back. It's some 39 minutes off the hour, and all the way till around 7-9. We're going to be bringing you the news review now. Joining me for a discussion, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. But before I rope him in, the segment is always brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, and they're offering you, if you're a man, and I'm just imagining my director, producer, sound engineer, camera people here, I'll be finding out from them when the last time was that they checked out their prostates, because it's crucial that we all do so. If you're a woman, do you know your fertility level? Do you know the status of your fertility? If anything is developing in that area, in your womb, for example, would you know? Or would you just let it be there until it becomes problematic? Many of us don't check ourselves out, and then before we can say jack, we end up with problems. So my advice to you, head to Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, because they are offering all of these for free. Come, get yourself checked. And here's where you can locate them. Here in Accra, they are at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. In Kumasi, Krono Mabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. Anaji State, that's where you can find them in Takrade. There's Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Esiama Enzima. If you'd like to give them a buzz, a call, these are the numbers to reach them on. 0244 867 068 or 0274-234-321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But just the way of starting our news review. Doc, good morning.
Good morning, Ben.
And let me just add, I'm very well, Doc. I hope you're well.
Very well.
All right. Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante is a political scientist. He is head of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. Let's quickly, before we get into the papers, I know you usually want to share some thoughts on a number of matters.
Editorial.
Yes. I don't know whether you'd like to talk about the demonstration as well, because I've not got your take on it, but you go ahead.
I've spoken on the demonstration at length, but let me touch on something different. This happenings in MPP. If you look at
the seismic shift.
Yes, what Alan said about the ills of the party that led to his resignation. If you look at the counter from the party, and then the party stalwarts now speaking, as a political scientist, I have observed with pain that there are certain things that are not done right within the party. It's my duty as a student to be able to help build any political party and any institution in the state so that democracy is preserved at all times. What I have observed from all what is going on, that the institutions within the MPP are weak. And when I say institutions, I'm talking about the rules, the regulations, the procedures, the norms. They are quick to bringing them up, but they don't allow them to work. Because if they are working, the problems that are plaguing the party now, the institutions, if they are working, will be able to rise up to the occasion and deal with them. And what we are seeing, it is clear from me that institutions are down there. They need to work at it to make sure that the party stand on its foot as strong as possible. The other issue is about favoritism. That when there are people who have done something wrong against the party, it appears to me that the party is not able to deal with that. They favor people, some people, more than they favor others.
So
you
is
don't build
justice,
a party like that.
Is justice selective?
It appears so, but you realize that you can never build any meaningful political system with that type of approach. You always go for meritocracy, merit. So whoever has, done something wrong, you use the same rod to measure the person's conduct, and you deal with it based on the institutions you have established. Favoritism is taking a better part of the party and is creating all manner of problems for them. The other bit is hypocrisy in the party, and it's very, very clear that there are problems that are really affecting or working against the party. But the ostrich comes in, where people are playing ostrich, as if nothing is happening in there. And now it is what? Staring at their faces now. You don't build a party like that, that you don't want to see the problems that are in the party and you are not ready to deal with them. If you look at the comment Alan made, I'm not saying that all that he's saying is right, but you've seen the counter from the elite within the party. It points to one thing, and that there is hypocrisy. The problems are there, but they want to shelve it under the carpet and all that. Please, you don't build a society and a political party like that. It will stare up in your face one day, and the cost of dealing with it will be too high. The last point of it is what they lack political will. Because things have gone on, but who will bear the cut? Nobody. They don't have that political John the Baptist in the party to stand up and tell people in their faces that you got it wrong. Mr. A, you got it wrong. Mr. B, you got it wrong. Let's begin on a clean slate. This is lacking. For me, I am worried because I'm a student of democracy. I want political party to survive and be strong and further the cause of democracy. The effect of this, we all know. But one of it leads to what? Division within the party. It creates what? Bitterness within the party. And it disorganizes the party. And at the end of the day, it leads to all manner of problems, leading to what? Exodus of people from the party to other places and all that. All these things do not gel, do not bode well for a political party that has gone through thick and thin and that has served its country well. It is my hope and prayer that they will take this advice in good faith and then use them to work and strengthen the frontiers of the party. Ghana is interested in having political parties that are able to work within the framework of the law and be able to stand tall at all times and defend the cause of democracy at all times.
Thank you. Darko Stephen says, good morning, guys. Keep up the good work. I have two just reactions to what you've said. While all of this was going on, of course, the MPP was trying to whittle down what Alan was doing. We all knew he was going to speak at 2 p.m. And they started putting out "We Are MPP" with the Oslo, the elephant images here and there. I saw a number of party stalwarts do that. But even as they were doing that, Alan was resigning and saying that he was going to contest as an independent candidate. Your colleague, Dr. Richard Amwakuma, interacted with me yesterday, and he said, with what has happened, they might as well, no matter whom they select, they might as well forget breaking the 8, forget winning the election, because Alan is going to take votes away, and most of those votes will come from the MPP stock, disgruntled MPP members. You said something. I want political parties to survive, of course, so our democracy can continue to thrive. Are you then suggesting that some of these moves, happenings, seismic shifts in the MPP could lead to the MPP's death?
The party is not going to die. That is a fact, because it has gone through thick and thin. But this is a caution to them that, yes, you are not dead, but you are irrelevant within the political space, then it comes back to nothing. If you look at what is happening and people leaving, you don't know the next person who will also leave. You don't know about that. And that is the danger. Anytime MPP or the Danko Busia tradition, they face, they are going to face problems, you see these things coming out. Giants leave the party and create problems for them. We saw 1979. The story is too clear in our minds for us to repeat them here. But all that we are saying that, see, in a democracy, you make sure that everybody is brought on board. It is true that you can't satisfy everybody, but that if you really want to up your game, you need to what? Be working with the institutions, the rules you have set for the game. You obey them. You allow them to work. Once you go against them, I'm afraid you will receive backlash like this. So I believe that it's a wake-up call to them because, look, take it or leave it, Alan is a giant within the party. If you listen to the party people, he will not break the party, he will not do this. It is true. He will not break the party. But look, I know that he can win as an independent party, an independent person. That is true, because the Ghana political system doesn't support this.
But he could become the kingmaker. Because if he claws away enough votes.
He could be a kingmaker in the sense that when he is able to push about, a number of votes out, based on the electoral system that we have, the first past the post system, if you have a person like that, of that stature, I'm afraid is going to do a lot of both wrecking for you. So they need to be able to handle it well, because once he goes out with some people and then they vote against the party, obviously he's going to push the election to a second round. And the second round, then he becomes a kingmaker. He decides on the focus and direction of, political parties and all that. Added to this, remember, voters also decide based on the economic, the health of the economy. Is the economy of sound footing? If it is the making of the government or IMF. That debate will come up strongly. I know that is going to be hot. Issue of corruption will come up. The government, yes, has a problem in that direction. And records are there for Transparency International for all of us to see. Issue of unemployment is going to come up strongly. Yes, the government is doing its bit, but look, there are a large army of unemployed youth parading our streets and doing nothing. Last I was in my office, and there's a story, I was so hurt by that. One of our past students walked to me, "Sir, is it possible you can give me something for breakfast?" And I said, "Come on, come to my room. Let us not talk outside." I shared something with him, I parted something with him, but I told myself, are we failing as a state that I've trained somebody, gone to university 4 years, and then he walked to campus and want to see a lecturer to help him to survive for a daily meal? Come on, that's something we are not doing right. We have to fix it, all right? It has been a problem for a very long time, but now it's becoming worse. And that governance is nothing but our ability to make use of resources to make life better for everybody. Because a hungry man is always an angry man.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on these very important matters. There's just this little bit, I don't know, just give me a straightforward answer so we get to the papers. Dr. Richard Amoako Bawang also said that if that were to happen, that scenario you painted, where Alan becomes a kingmaker, because if he claws away 5 or 10% of the votes, or even 4%, that could ensure that both parties do not get 50% plus. He would think it would be a betrayal if Alan then goes to support the NPP so it retains power, because that is not what people would have wanted. That's not, and he said that basically he's supporting Alan, which definitely means that he's resigning himself, from the NPP, Dr. Richard Amoako Bawang, because once you do that, then it means you're no longer a member of the party. But he says he's standing by that. Do you feel that if push comes to shove, Should Alan stick to his principles or should he back the NPP?
It's difficult to tell because in politics, you and I know who gets what, when and how. When there is power and people are close to what, grabbing it, I tell you, they will do something that you cannot imagine. So we'll leave that. But we are saying that if what he's saying that is not comfortable with the way certain things have been handled within the party, and that the party, what is playing out now is not what he bargained for or they bargained for. And then at the 11th hour, they show you that, yes, you have the right to assess this position if you want, and you follow that. Then it becomes hypocrisy on his part. Remember that Ghanaian politics, there's always hypocrisy. You saw how Aka was beaten in cabinet meeting, and nobody who was interviewed at that time told us that he saw actually what happened. People told us different stories, cock and bull stories, so to speak. And that is what is playing out. If you look at the scenario within the MPP, they tell you, oh no, this was not the case. This is that, you know. But the real story is out there. I believe that when it gets to that level, Alan should be able to exercise a lot of restraint and be able to reason so well that he'll be able to take a decision that will not be albatross around his neck one day. Because you see, in politics, you can decide on something today, you think that it has satisfied a certain parochial interest. Give yourself time. You come back to what? Regret it. You regret it. So I believe that this should be a caution to him. But I know that his factor is not going to be the only factor if NPP is to, suffer power loss. That is if, all right? Because there are a lot of factors that influence voter choices. And his factor is going to be one of them, not only that. So we will not bank a lot of hopes on that so much because there are other factors such as the economy, such as corruption, rule of law, health, unemployment, and all them, about 14 of them, in addition to his factor being a strong member of the party, moving out and then creating disaffection for the party. That is a fact.
Right.
That is a fact.
Well, let's get into the Daily Graphic newspaper. I just want to do this lest I forget. There's a special supplement on the hospitality and tourism industries, or industry if you'd like, and beautiful scenes here promoting domestic tourism, our responsibility. That's the Adanse Travels MD. There's also a day out at Safari Valley Eco Resort Park in the Okere District, Eastern Region. I also see Alisa Hotels Group, a beacon of true Ghanaian hospitality. Volta Serene Hotel with the chalets pictured there, and Oak Plaza Suite. I mean, if you grab a copy of the Daily Graphic today, don't miss that special supplement. What I would share, though, is the fact that we keep talking tourism. And I heard recently, I hope this is not true, where a certain minister, and I'm checking for the details, because if I find that thing, I'm going to use it definitely in my blunt thoughts for Friday, where someone was suggesting that we could get foreigners into the country and then, and I'm saying someone because I don't want to get on the wrong end of, when I find the name, and if it's confirmed, I'll spew it, that when foreigners come into the country, we can send them to, funeral gatherings and all of that, and that is tourism.
I listened to the minister myself. I listened to the minister myself with rapt attention. He didn't say foreigners, but he's saying that when there are funerals, cars will be provided, that people will take advantage and move from the funeral to other places of interest, of tourist attraction, which I find very absurd. I can't think about something like this. Is it the case that the minister, I'm sorry to say this, is bereft of ideas of all that? I mean, you can suggest that. So you had people like Fuya Shasiniga and Co coming out to saying that which of his family members is going to die so that the process started. Why does he want to open himself up for
that kind of words,
responses and all that? I believe that suggestion is the least to tell Ghanaians if you don't have anything for us. That I can.
So I had to bring that up. I had to bring that up, Doc, because we are talking tourism. We're talking tourism.
I listened to
and
him.
I just remembered that, because I hadn't confirmed, but it's been confirmed for me now, so I can mention his name, Dr. Awal Ibrahim. He's actually a good friend of mine. And when I heard it, I wanted to think, no, Doc didn't say that. I should have given him a call, maybe. But I can't, for the life of me, I can't imagine. Look, roads to most of these tourist sites are terrible. In a terrible state. My producer was telling me recently they had to go to this place in the eastern region. You have beautiful tourist sites, and yet the roads, so many people will just for the struggle, the hassle of getting there, they will decide not to go. And if you decide to go, it will cost you a whole lot if you are using a vehicle because they know the stretch, or if you're going to drive, by the time you're done, your shocks and everything are practically gone. And yet we're talking about boosting tourism and funerals and all that.
And my brother, the thing is that if you really want to improve tourism and make it attractive to people, it's not funeral where you start with. There are a lot of tourist attractions that if you are observant and you go around this country, you see a lot of them. I've been listening to all those who want to fight for political power in this country. For instance, Kennedy Japan, he has been bringing a lot of interesting ideas on tourism. The fact that he has seen one of the churches, I think Methodist or so, they have the first Bible that came to Ghana here. Come on, this is a big thing that you can. When I was in Switzerland, Geneva, there was a place in Geneva, I've forgotten the name, where you have to go through, use a boat and go there to see the first copy of the Bible. And I tell you, people go there in their numbers, so much so, and then go and watch and all that. There are a lot. Look at the seashore that we have here, from Keta to Alubo. Why can't you develop in such a way that people on holidays can be on a boat, have merry, have fun, and then pay money to the state? Why can't you also even build monuments? What do you call a monument for presidential office holders, people who leave office, museums, like the U.S., where your hometown, they build a museum. People go there and visit.
Oh, but Doc, here we are building the National Cathedral. And
that's a joke. I'm not saying that cathedral is not good, but the timing and the rest of it. Look, can't we spend that money to build museums of all our leaders who have stepped down, including those who are yet to come? That, yes, can you imagine you have a museum of Kwame Nkrumah in Nkrofo? People will fly there and see what Nkrumah left for us. You have a museum in Golu that people will go there and see.
I totally side with you. I keep saying these things, but it appears no one listens. We would rather opt for funerals and everything.
Yeah, Ben, the last thing, I was in Menchia one day. I had never been to Kumasi, and that was my first time. And I went to Menchia. I said, Jesus Christ, people are smart. Look, you go through Menchia Museum and you watch cultural things and so forth and so on. I was so amazed. If this thing is replicated in various parts of this country where ethnic groups, kingdoms, clans and all that, they put their cultural things there, like what I saw in Menchia, and then look at them. And then people will come, write in the notebook, pay some money to the people. We create employment, we develop ourselves, and then we maintain our rich culture. There are a lot. There are sites that remain on top, that they are still lying. My own constituency in Ekwapim, there are a lot of tourist sites that are lying fallow. We don't tap them. And then instead of looking at all these things, we want to look at funerals and promote that.
Right.
I am sorry.
Right.
That's unfortunate. It should be a public policy.
Well, thank you for those thoughts shared. Other stories: Goil plant to reduce bitumen import, and Ghana is on course to reduce the $11.8 billion average annual bitumen import bill with commercial production of polymer-modified bitumen in the country. Petroleum downstream and midstream player Goil set up the bitumen production plant in Tema as a strategic move to venture into new areas and to help the country reduce the foreign exchange it spends to import the product from neighboring Cote d'Ivoire and Brazil in South America. My only problem, though, I'm just thinking through this. We will, instead of we have done. And the other bit, have we taken a look at the Tema motorway? Hey! The Tema motorway is gradually becoming something else. But even after the recent work done on it, anyway. Alan's resignation premeditated, that's according to the MPP. They say it said choosing to resign from the party through a press conference instead of engaging the party executive ahead of his announcement spoke volumes of Mr. Chebating's plot. And then it also says, while respecting his decision to contest the 2024 presidential election as an independent candidate, the General Secretary said since 1992, key party people had expressed interest in leading the party and the country, but those who failed to succeed never abandoned the party. That's an interesting thought. We've seen some people leave the party, Kwabena J. Japan, among others. So I don't know what exactly they are trying to say here. Any quick thoughts before we wrap up with the rest of the papers?
Yeah, people, I'll look at those who want to leave the party, those who are saying that people are not leaving and all that. You see, when people are dissatisfied with the way businesses are run within political parties, obviously they vote with their feet by leaving the party. And it is always in the interest of political parties to have the numbers, because that is why this country has chosen the first past the post system, that look, one vote is important to move you from a candidate to become somebody as an MP or as a president. So one vote is critical. Don't underrate the fact that, it's one or two people who are leaving. It can surprise you. It can push the election to the length that you don't want. So I believe that they should be sober and then reflect on all this and make sure that going forward, they will deal with everybody on equal footings. They will create equal playing field for everybody. They will work in such a way that somebody will not feel shortchanged within the party. Otherwise, they will build a party and only come one day to destroy it. What I am saying, I'm not a prophet of doom, and I'm not praying for that. If they don't take care and Alan's thing stays, and then you have other people who are joining the bandwagon effect catches on, you are likely to destroy the party, and then the coming back becomes a problem. But what I am saying, I am worried, because if care is not taken and you get another giant moving out, you are already in an okra soup.
Anyway, in the next 4 to 5 minutes, we should be wrapping, Doc. Now, the Ghanaian Times newspaper, NPP not hijacked, party denies Alan's claims. I see it across the newspapers today. There is quite a push to put that message out there forcefully. But like you've said, if that bandwagon takes off and if it catches fire, it can only lead to disaster.
But Ben, just a bit of it. Did you listen to Mr. Kojo Mpieni yesterday?
I didn't.
Saying that, yes, saying that what Alan said, I mean, some of the things that they posed to him, the question to him, he said that they're true. And he went ahead to name people, one person who has hijacked, part of the people who have hijacked the party and all that. And people are saying it's not true. That's why I'm saying that the hypocrisy within the party will not do them any good. They should be able, one day, I said it on the media, I said...
Hello, Doc? Oh, no. We appear to be losing Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. Hopefully we can get him back in just a bit. Can you hear me, Doc?
Yeah, you.
Go ahead with your thoughts, Doc. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes. I am saying that people should master the courage and then tell people what they are supposed to be told in plain language without fear of favor. Okay. Once we do that, we are saying that you have a political will. Lack of it, you destroy a very system you have built over the years. I am worried because all the political parties, if you look at how far they have arrived here, they have come from very far away. And I don't want them to disintegrate at all.
Right.
Because I'm a lover of democracy.
We have to move on.
Let those who want a third force develop.
Okay. Collapsed Dolly Bridge. That's the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Commuters forced to pay more. And here's why. Because the bridge has collapsed, now travel time on the Accra-Wa route has increased to 20 hours. The prices of goods and services have shot up, and that has become a real mess. We didn't see that coming. There's also 1,433 died, 10,367 injured in road crashes this year. That's for the Ghanaian Times newspaper. And speaking of the MPP, Wontumi bans Allen's posters. That's another thing that is riling some Allen supporters up. And Chairman Wontumi, the Ashanti Regional Chairman, Ntwi Siako, has been, saying that all those posters should go down. And I want your take on this one, definitely. Albert Kandapa, the National Security Minister, is suing Oliver Barker-Vormawor 10 million Ghana cedis. I'm sure you heard the claim that was made about $1 million that was apparently being used to bribe him, or attempted to be used to bribe him, together with some of the leaders of his grouping, which he forcefully resisted. Any quick thoughts on this? And it's a wrap.
Yeah, I think on the past story, the good news is that they are forum, the court, they want to Allen's posters being removed and the rest of them. I am not sure that it is wrong for a political party to say that once you have left the party, we don't want any of your posters, your paraphernalia within the party and all that. There is nothing wrong with that. They can put them down. It's normal. Wontumi has not done anything wrong. It is in line with their party, constitution and all that. That once you leave the party, you cease to be the party. And which Mr. Allen Martin said that at the time he was speaking, he had left the party. So obviously, anything about you, which is in line with the party, you have every right to take it off. There's nothing wrong with that. But the way you manage this thing is where the problem is, and that the way you handle it, the language that accompany that exercise and all that, that's what we call political communication. How you communicate these things can create more pain and disaffection and can cause people to leave the party. But you're right, he is not wrong to say that, look, we are taking all his posters off our premises and all that because you are no more a member. Remember, if you work in any other institutions, when you leave, they take your ID card, they take everything, your key and all that. That's normal. But the way you handle this thing can go a long way to create more disaffection within the party.
And that's exactly the point I'm looking at, the sort of language, the tone, the language used, because he's been there, he's been a stalwart, he's contested at the highest levels. So even if you're going to do this, the sort of language and animosity, because the more you bring in animosity, the more you rile up those who are for him. So that's the only angle to look at. But Doc, thank you once more for gracing the occasion and sharing your wonderful thoughts with us this morning. I wish you the best of the day, sir.
I'm always grateful for the opportunity to be able to, dialogue with the people of this country so that we'll build a solid democracy forever and ever. No military rule, nothing more, nothing less. We want a democracy.
God bless Ghana and make her great and strong. Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, political scientist, also director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. We're grateful. Right before we go, some belated birthday wishes. This one, Sunday was your birthday, Eric Elikem Gbemu. You work with DHL, Eric Elikem Gbemu. Belated happy birthday to you. There's also Eli Anyigbavo. Monday was your birthday. Belated wishes to you. I actually saw your post only today. A belated happy birthday to both of you, and God richly bless you. As we go, veer into sports. This segment brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. They're offering free prostate screening, free fertility screening for women. If you'd like to reach out to them, here are their branches. Here in Accra, Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. Kumasi Kronomabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. Takrade Anaji State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanso and Esiama and Zama. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. The end to chronic disease. But just the start of all the sporting action coming your way up next with Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. Do stay.
morning with a story of Sandra Odame, the lady defying the odds when it comes to the sport of rugby. She started as someone who wanted to play football, switched her attention to becoming a soldier, and now she's the one leading the charge when it comes to rugby in Ghana. There's this interesting story about how a male-dominated field has ladies rewriting the history. And this is how we wrap up AM Sports here with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullahi.
My name is Odami Siawa Sandra, a national rugby team player, Ghana Eagles. I'm a playmaker. Initially, I was a footballer. By then, their training schedules wasn't helping me because I was also in school. But rugby used to train only on weekends, which I was at home. So I was like, then I'm not going to waste the talent. Since I'm already into the sporting discipline, then I'll switch to rugby. Growing up as a child, I thought of joining the army. So I took it upon myself that I was going to train very hard. And I was hearing from others that the training for the army was very intense and difficult. So I was like, okay, let me give myself a try with the rugby training so that when I get there, it will be easier for me. So that motivated me a lot to train.
Ghana in the black stripe, about to kick off against the Zimbabweans.
The match against Zimbabwe, it was quite a very tough match because we nearly lost. It was left with some seconds.
So it should be the last play of the game. If Ghana can hold on to the ball, it's a mountain to climb from there.
I don't know where the zeal and the confidence came in. Within that seconds to end the playtime, my teammate together with I did quite a great job and we won at the end of the game.
Ghana getting away with, can they score? Should they score a try? What a dramatic finish to this match. Solid effort from Ghana. What a way to end day one of the tournament, Frank.
My mother herself was an athlete, but then when she saw me engaging in sporting activities, she didn't want me to, engage in it. I asked her for the reason and she was like, I was like, Mom, that was your time. This is our time, so could you please allow me to do it? There were some times she could hide my boots or my training attires, I think it's in their bloodline, so although she tried to stop me on many occasions, as time went on, she was the one even rather encouraging me. So, and for my friends, they were like, especially when I was in school, you could see it was getting nearer to examination period. Now when we say we're gonna pass, so you came, they are like, you this girl, are you okay? I'm like, why? They'll be like, examination is around the corner and we are still training. I was like, don't worry, I'll find time and learn. They'll be excused at the mom. People see me around and if I tell them I'm a rugby player, they don't even believe. Why? Because I'm a lady and they see it to be a very contact and brutal game. But I think they are confused out there because we have rugby union and American football. I think people are really confused about these two because American football happens to be very brutal as compared to rugby. With American rugby, I don't know a lot about them, but you can see so many injuries and blood whenever play is ongoing. But with rugby, although there is contact, it's minimum. Working together with my teammate has really motivated me a lot. It has given me so much confidence. At first, I used to be an introvert, but now, if you get to know me, you see that, this girl has really changed a lot. See, unlike soccer, you can pass it anywhere around, but with rugby, you have to pass it backwards, but then we are still moving forward to score. That's the most interesting aspect of it. In rugby, we have 7 aside, we have 10 aside, and we have 15 aside. Basically, I play for the 7 aside, and it's made up of 7 players from each team on the field of play. In order to gain points in rugby, you have to pass the ball backwards to your teammates whilst running forward. So you get to the in-goal area, that's where you ground the ball. And after grounding the ball, you gain 5 points. After you've been able to ground the ball to gain 5 points, you are being awarded a conversion. And that's also when you are able to convert, that's kick through in between the posts. That also carries 2 points. So after you are able to do all these things, you get a point of 7. Since I joined, I think there have been more participation and awareness, because as I'm speaking now, we have teams at St. West, we have some in the Volta, some in the northern region, as well as other regions. So I think the participation is growing large. Playing rugby, people always tell me, you are not going to give birth, you are a female, why are you playing rugby, you are not going to get a husband, so you are supposed to be in the kitchen. So many, misconceptions, but then I'll use my mom as an example. She wasn't playing rugby, but she was an athlete, a sprinter, and she played volleyball as well. And she has given birth to, if my other siblings, I'm here. Sandra Dami is here. My mom gave birth to me. So I don't see the reason why people should say because I'm playing rugby, I'm not going to give birth, I'm not going to get married. I think that's a misconception. In the next 5 years, I hope to be an Olympian and then a certified official, as in referee, and a coach as well.
Of the New Patriotic Party, alongside versions of party supporters, took to their headquarters, singing and chanting. General Secretary of the party, Justin Frimpong Kodia, criticized Alan Kyerematen for allegedly misrepresenting facts.
The disappointing part is the mode in which he decided to resign from the party, which was through a press conference without prior notice to the party. The party wants to believe that by his decision to hold a press conference to resign without first informing the leadership of the party suggests that he made a premeditated and irrevocable decision to resign from the party.
The party also took aims at claims by Alan Kyerematen that the party's flag bearership race was skewed to favor a certain unnamed candidate.
The leadership of the party equally disagrees with the assertion made by Mr. Kyerematen in page 8 of his resignation address that the party has been hijacked by a selected group of party leaders and elders and government appointees behind the curtain power brokers. Guided by the facts and data, the leadership of the party disagree entirely with this assertion. Historically, the selection of flag bearers for political parties in Ghana had been the preserve of a privileged few until the New Patriotic Party took the bold decision to decentralize the process by expanding its electoral college to enfranchise some 106,590 delegates in 2010. Currently, about 200,000 delegates will be voting to select the party's next flag bearer relative to the estimated 1,998 who did same in 1992. Clearly, the quantum leap to 200,000 delegates in 2023 underscores the decentralization of power to all party stakeholders and defeat the assertion that the party has been hijacked by a privileged few.
On Allan's claim that his supporters were intimidated, the party strongly disagreed.
In reference to Mr. Kyerematen's concerns, which include allegations of intimidation against his supporters, it is noteworthy that certain government appointees, including cabinet ministers, who openly declared their support for him, are still at post and have never been intimidated.
One of Allan Kyerematen's biggest supporters was Katrina Fiku, but she says she can no longer support Allan in his decision to resign and go solo.
So I am a loyal patriot and I'm in the party.
I won't tell you about this decision.
No, I don't think we're here for that. I'm here to support the party, and I want to reiterate that again. The party is supreme. So let's send that message out there that we are the new patriotic party.
For now, the party says it is unfazed about claims Allan's decision to contest as an independent candidate will hurt its efforts at breaking the eight and will continue to rally its base to retain power in 2024.
Well, thank you for staying with us. And you know where we're going on our first conversation, the first big story we're looking at today. Allan Kyerematen has decided to go with the butterfly and kick out the elephant. He has resigned. But what is the way forward for him and for the MPP? Well, today we have stalwarts from both ends who will be dialoguing with us in terms of what the way forward is. On the back of the MPP's response as well, Justin Frimpong Kodua saying that there may have been some ill will, intention, as far as this action of Allan Kyerematen is concerned. So we have joining the conversation via Zoom Duke Sasu. He is a member of the Allan campaign team. He joins the conversation. Duke Sasu. Then we have Tia Abdul Kabiru Mahama, technical advisor, Office of the Vice President. Both of them join the conversation. Since you are joining us via Zoom, let me just ensure that you can hear me. Duke, a very good morning to you.
A very good morning. How are you, sir?
I am well. How about you?
I'm great. Thank you.
It's good to have you join the conversation. Also in the studio, we have Tia Abdul Kabiru Mahama, technical advisor, Office of the President. It's been a while since you joined me on the show.
Yeah, it's been a while.
You've been absent, AWOL.
Maybe you've been absent.
I have been absent,
yeah. Because I've been here a couple of times. But
okay.
Also in other shows, yeah.
Well, I've been in and out, like I said, doing a few things here and there. So good to have you join the conversation. Let me start with you, Duke. Allan has given his reasons for leaving the party, things not working, injustice, and a plethora of issues that he cites. And the reaction from the MPP has been one of, this is not your first time. And we are MPP. There's even that thing floating around of BJ Darocha from way back, 2008 thereabouts, the first time Allan resigned from the party, that they shouldn't let him back into the party, that he was interested in himself alone. Here we are at the crossroads again, and Allan has jumped ship. Some blue-blooded members of the MPP say, this is it, and if you go, don't come back. Can you share with us what as in Twi will say, what the main basis was for Allan quitting the NPP? why it is justified. Duke.
Once again, a very good morning, and a very good morning to Ghanaians all over the world who are listening to me this morning. I have a message from Honorable Alan Kyerematen. I think this morning he'll be on TV3 with Bebela Mundi for an interview as well, and he's in high spirit, and he says I should tell the young people across this country that this movement for change is for them. This movement for change is one that they will spearhead, and this movement for change is one that is here to stay. This question of yours brings about a very nuanced conversation.
Okay.
Of allegiance to a party as against allegiance to a state or a nation. The question is, should our ultimate allegiance be one that is to a political party, or should that political party be the vehicle to which we pursue or we try to advance our interest or our ambitions for the state? To that extent, we need to have that nuanced conversation as a people, that we cannot allow political party structures to create a preserve or a right of ownership of our interest, ownerships of our ambitions, and ownership of our loyalty, so that at every point in time where a certain political party structure becomes in its functioning no longer represents the ideals for which you became a member of, it is important that you peacefully exit that very structure so that you pursue a certain structural narrative that allows you to represent your intentions or allows you to pursue your dreams, that allows you to function as a rightful citizen of this country. And so that level of enslavement by political party structures is one that we think we need to have a rethink of as a nation. And these are conversations that over the coming days and months, you have massively across the country. But what I would say is that we are not in any way vexed by the press conference that happened yesterday. As a team, we are much more encouraged to pursue this agenda of a movement for change. And there's a rallying cry of hundreds of people who have already reached out to volunteer for Honorable Alan Kyerematen in this campaign process. So what I can assure you is that you are going to see probably an active participation of people across the country who are eager to see change manifest in every part and sector of our country as well.
So you're basically saying the Allen Drive is going full steam ahead. But you also know that there has been that charge. I've listened to Henry Nana Boakye, among others, suggest that once you lend your support to Alan Kyerematen, you speak favorably about him, you are opting out of the NPP. It's immediate and it is final. That would create quite a problem, right? Of course, we've heard of SK Boafo, who has even on the day said that he sides with Alan, he's staying with him, which means he would have ousted himself from the party. We've heard other people do same. Dr. Richard Amokuban, I spoke to him yesterday, also said that, look, I don't feel the party is going in the right direction and I am for Alan. But isn't it going to be quite a hurdle now that the party has categorically stated, and we've seen others like the Deputy Finance Minister who supported Alan but has stepped aside on his decision to go independent? Doesn't it create quite a problem for the Alan camp? Because now many people will not be willing to leave the NPP to go independent with Alan and forfeit their membership of the NPP.
Well, thank you, but it's a matter of choice. I think that people have a right to decide on that agenda. And that brings back the conversation I commence my analysis with, as to whether as a nation we should allow party affiliation to transcend our obligations toward the state. And that form of cult, or that kind of organizational cult within which we have built our duopoly of the NPP and NDC around, ought to be interrogated. And so these conversations will be had. And of course, we'll have people who, for their interest in terms of trying to sustain the current rules within the party and others, they would have to, I think, strategically try and publicly say that, well, we can no longer be a part of a process or with Alan Kyerematen in that regard. That is allowed. I think that it is their right. They have every right to do that. But what we cannot also undermine is that there are hundreds of thousands of people across this country who are asking for change. They are asking for change that transcends political affiliation. They are asking for change that transcends ethnic background. And that is why Honorable Alan Kyerematen says that I am going to form a government of national unity, a government where in appointing my ministers of state, I would duly satisfy the provisions of Article 78 of the Constitution and appoint majority of my ministers from Parliament. However, my appointment of ministers would not be based on party colors, but will be based on your competence, your credibility, and your character. These are the traits that you don't need a party card. Also, people from all walks of life, no matter their affiliation to a party or not, will have the opportunity to serve in my government. They're allowing people within the private areas of our state to also advance or contribute to the building up, to the nation building approach. So essentially, I don't think in any way, in fact, I can assure you that the number of calls, the number of volunteers who are trooping in since the press conference on Monday is amazing. And I've even overwhelmed by it personally, because I was expecting such drive, but not within the space of time. And I can assure you that a massive statement will be made during this electoral cycle. And Alan Kyerematen is in to win this election. And it has been proven in Benin through Patrice Talon, Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto, the same in 2013 in Kenya. Emmanuel Macron, the same in France. And so we are looking at a new revolution of change that is going to hit this country. And you are all welcome to join in this very movement.
All right, just a very brief one before I come into the studio. Mahama, I'll give you enough time to respond to all of these. I'm just curious about this. The monarch butterfly. I've heard some people say, the monarch butterfly. What went into selecting that symbol?
Yes, so the monarch butterfly, I think it has to be, so the butterfly, for example, is one of the most underrated species in terms of biological history, basically. But apart from the foundational principles that define the monarch butterfly, its large influence in terms of pollination within its bio setup is one that is underrated.
Hello?
Territory, beyond its territory, and its ability to wage and impact the very climate far beyond where it might be situated or located, is one that is amazing, simply amazing. And the impact of the monarch butterfly, principally, which is the king of butterflies, is one that has been underrated throughout our evolutionary history. And so you'll be underrating Honorable Alan Kyerematen at your own risk, at your own peril. You'll be underrating a man of strength and steel, character and spirituality, elements that define this very butterfly. And so each trait are one that you shouldn't underrate at all. The last thing you want to underrate is a species that has had a large impact within our ecosystem. And so, as has always been said, I will urge them to continue undermining Alan Kyerematen.
All right.
And in the coming months, they will surely understand what this monarch butterfly.
They will feel it, huh? Okay. Some would say, though, that thanks to Galamsey and all of that, you can't even find monarch butterflies anymore. But I was thinking you would also talk about transformation, change, and how it symbolizes hope as well. Thank you for those initial comments. Let me come into the studio now. You've heard your colleague. I don't want to go straight into the questions I have for you because I know you will definitely have reactions for Duke. So what are your reactions? They've selected the butterfly. He said everything about it. And the butterfly, they say, will crush the elephant. What's your take?
Yeah, thank you very much. Good morning to my colleague and good morning to your cherished viewers. You know, the membership to any association is usually based on what I would call the law of 2 feet.
The law of
2 feet.
Okay.
If you are neither contributing nor learning, you take your 2 feet away.
If you're neither contributing nor learning, you take your 2 feet away. Okay.
So, to that extent, if anyone wants to exit any political party in the nature Mr. Alan Kyerematen did, you would but just respect that decision of that person. And I fully respect.
So is that the law of 2 feet? He's not contributing, he's not learning, so he's exiting.
Yeah,
is that what you're saying?
That is what he's saying, because if you are in an association, you either learn from the association or you contribute. So if he feels that he has nothing to learn in the MPP and he has nothing to contribute to the MPP again, he leaves. And I think that that is what has informed the decision. No other point has informed the decision. All other statements made are not the basis. If Mr. Alan Kyerematen still felt that he has some contribution to make within the MPP, despite those concerns, he will remain. If he thought he had something to learn in the MPP, despite the concerns, he will remain. So that is the first thing. 2, the choice of symbols, the choice of logo, the choice of slogans to pursue the agenda so determined by Mr. Alan Kyerematen and his team is of least concern to us, because that is their strategy. All what we need to do is to focus on what we can do differently under the circumstances. I'll be the last, and just like the General Secretary mentioned, the fact that Mr. Alan Kyerematen is no more with the MPP doesn't mean that we should treat him like an outcast. Of course, it's quite unfortunate that if you are exiting a political family like the MPP and you would want to exit with honor, you have to state your reasons without any form of antagonism to suggest that the very party that made you the person you are exiting it in a very rancorous manner. That is the thing we wanted to avoid in this whole discussion. If you realize, even our team, in the run-up to the Special Delegates Conference, we're very careful as to the thing you see. And I respect Mr. Alan Kyerematen. I have enormous amount of respect for him because of how he has carried himself. But this decision, I think, that is the most unfortunate. We would just leave him to that decision. And I probably feel like I mentioned yesterday, it's an end of era. The end of the era that many people, after some few months, will forget about Mr. Alan Kyerematen. Will forget about Mr. Alan Kyerematen because the political terrain, the duopoly he has mentioned, has come to stay. And if you will want, the creation of political parties is not in any way at variance with the spirit of the Constitution, to the extent that someone would argue that national interest supersedes party interest. The Constitution in its own form has created for multi-party democracy. Okay? And if it wasn't for the purpose of people coming together to form party and use the party as a vehicle to secure power to run the country, the Constitution would not provide for multi-party democracy. In fact, it would have been contemplating multi-persons or multi-personality or whatever, individual aspirations and drive.
But there are two angles to that conversation. I do agree. You cannot even come to this level and vie for the presidency and all of that without either going independent or attaching yourself to a political party. In political science, back in the day, they will teach you that these parties are formed in order to ascend to power, wield power, and use it in the interest of the people. I get that. But at the same time, there arise those situations where the interests of a party may not necessarily be in line with the interests of the nation. And this wouldn't be new in the political terrain in Ghana or elsewhere. History is replete with examples. You cannot fault him for that.
You see, if any individual cannot bring people together to form an association and use that association to run a country, even if you are given power under a circumstance, you may not bring the people, you can't bring the people together. Because managing a political party is a macrocosm of a nation. Okay, in my estimation, it would have taken a test of Mr. Alan Kyerematen successfully putting up a party together letting the party believe that his vision for running the country, movement for change, is the best, and that the butterfly symbolizes the aspiration of the nation. And if those people, if there are 100 of them, 600 of them, 1,000 of them, 200 of them, they so believe in him, I can have confidence that Mr. Alan Kyerematen, if he's given the nod, he can manage the people of Ghana. But you are not even comfortable managing a political party. You are not even comfortable coming to put structures in place across the country based on that vision that you think that I'm going to be the driver of that vision. Now you are saying that I'm going to go as an independent person. Assess me as on that, the basis of that independent person and give me the mandate. And I'll lead you and I'll bring all the parties together and lead them. I think it's the most impossible thought. I would think that...
but I find your thinking pretty interesting. He's going independent. Must you form a political party before you can... There are different avenues per our constitution, per our electoral rules that you can use to ascend to the presidency. He's adopted one of them. What's this bit about forming a political party? As an independent candidate, he has his followers, and they will, if they trust in him, vote for him in elections.
As an independent candidate, he would have some followers. And I'm saying that those followers are following without guidance, if you like, because it's
their opinion.
It is a fact.
It's their preference.
That was what I'm saying. But whenever you are leading,
whether you feel without guidance or whatever,
whenever you are leading people without guidance, without any document suggesting the conduct of members, okay, and a serious country like Ghana, you are going to lead people without any guidance, a document to suggest that members who believe in me must go by A, B, C, D. And it is going to be a binding contract between me. And on the basis of what I'm going to assess any member going out of that. And such a person is coming to lead the republic. I just feel like there's no seriousness in that.
I see.
With the greatest respect, I don't feel like. But you see, the end of any intervention may not necessarily to win power. Okay. And there may be other objectives which the Ghanaian people are not privy to. And it will only take Mr. Alan Kyerematen himself to declare that. Members of his team may not even know because he is only coming. The ulterior motive behind that, we may not know. So
ulterior motive. How can you sit here and say ulterior motive? Because ulterior is a very negative word to use. You're basically suggesting vile negativity. Ulterior motive. Why would you use that word?
I am saying that the ulterior motive behind that, they may be, they may not be. Okay, if there is, how do we know? But we can, a reasonable person would then use the actions of the person to infer whether the motive, it has some ulterior, there's some ulterior motive or not. I will look at the conduct of the person and ask, you've been in this party since 1992, okay? You have contested an election where the very establishment you are complaining about supported you, yet you lost. There was no problem with that particular.
He's also contested at a point where he was asked to step aside for some other person to go ahead. And he rightly did, where that person said, after me, Alan is next. And now you deceive him out of that and you want him to stand by? Is that what you're saying?
No single person has got the right to determine who is next in this party.
So was it right when the current president said
I'm saying that the problem had expressed an opinion. The president cannot determine who leads the MPP.
Was it the president now saying that, or was it the agreement at the time, at the top echelons of the party?
We know, those of us say we don't know of any agreement. It will have been in the records book of the MPP that at this particular point there was this agreement. And if the party structure has so agreed, I'm sure Mr. Alan Kyerematen would have had a course of action to suggest that, look, under the agreement of NEC, National Council or whatever it was agreed that no contest is going to be held in 2013 to elect a presidential candidate. As a result, Mr. Alan Kyerematen is a presumptive candidate for the MPP.
So that would have been. I get the point you're making, but that also says a lot about the leadership of your party, or maybe even Mr. President. It means his word cannot be taken for.
I am saying that Mr. President may prefer Mr. Alan Kyerematen to become the next leader of the NPP, but that preference is going to be subject to the preference of the structure of the party and the grassroots. So if to that extent, if there's any disagreement between his preference and what the people prefer, the preference of the people will hold sway. So that's the point I'm making. So the president might have said that. The president also saying that should also be mindful of the circumstances and context. If at the time that statement was made, the Ghanaian people had not known any person like the statue of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, they didn't know that Mr. Ken Ajapong would also contest. They didn't know that Mr. Adan Nimo would also contest. And that statement was made. When these people are now in the equation, that statement is subject to variation. Okay. So that is the point people need to note, that this whole thing about someone saying that some other person was the next person. In fact, in the next contest, if MPP should win the election, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia cannot determine who would come after him. Okay, it is the party that's going to determine. So I am of the view that Mr. Alan Kyerematen feel like, look, under the current dispensation of the MPP, I'm not able to contribute again. I have nothing to contribute to the party. I have nothing to learn from the party. I'll go my way. And that is exactly what he has done.
Okay, hold for me. Let me bring Duke back in. I just saw this post by Alan Kyerematen from his verified account on Twitter, or X, if you like. He says, when I am elected as president, ministers and other key government officials will be appointed from all parties and shall also include individuals who are apolitical, but have a demonstrable and proven track record of performance in their field of specialization. I will promote the establishment of a government of national unity. This reminds me of the days of Unigov back in the day, which will include people from all walks of life, irrespective of their political, religious, and ethnic affiliations. Rich or poor, able-bodied or physically challenged, young or old, women and men. And quite a number of likes and shares on that. But let me come to you first with this bit that Mr. Mahama makes, the point he makes that the theory of 2 feet, if you like. If you have nothing to contribute or nothing to learn, then you walk away. Is that what happened? Does Alan have nothing to contribute, nothing to learn from the MPP? Is he bitter, and is that why he left? Duke.
2 things. Firstly, let me respectfully address my brother's assertion that Alan's followers are following without any form of a guidance. Secondly, he talked about the fact that not creating a party will yield no results. I think my brother lacks a nuanced understanding of our Constitution. Our Constitution has a preamble, and within the preamble of the Constitution, it probably clearly states certain objectives for the state and certain guiding value for the state, so that any other element within our Constitution becomes a subset, or it's only supposed to advance the ultimate objective of the state. Now, so that political parties in general become vehicles within which you can advance your aspirations for the state. At any point in time, when that vehicle begins to crumble and no longer represents the ideals for which you joined it, in the interest of national unity and in the interest of advancing the state interest, you have a moral obligation to step out of that vehicle and pursue any other vehicle that allows you to contribute credibly and credibly. The government architecture asks for an individual to put himself across to run for the presidency. A political party only proposes an individual. Executive power lies in the president. It doesn't lie in the political party. That is why I said in my earlier analysis that there needs to be a national conversation on why we should not allow political parties to capture our allegiance as a people. So that at every point in time, where that political party and their objectives becomes counterintuitive to the objectives of the state, then we need to have a reset as a people in that regard. That is one. Secondly, to say that the lack of structures, I think that my brother is a bit not aware of the master stroke that Alan Kyerematen has actually established. He says that I understand that historically, an independent candidate might not get a buy-in beyond his person. So what he did is that I am not only running, I am running a movement for change. A political organization, not a political party, but a political organization that will have a structure that allows for people, irrespective of their ethnic backgrounds, their religious relationships, their political affiliations, to have to contribute to a national unity agenda. That no longer can you have opportunities in this country only because of a party card, but simply because you are a Ghanaian. That should be the primary element of your ability to contribute and to benefit from the state. And to underestimate that very marginal contribution, then you are surely underestimating what Alan Kyerematen can do. And that also represents how the butterfly itself is highly underestimated. But also, let me also refer to the fact that it has been proven right here in Benin that an independent candidate, he ran as an independent candidate, Patrice Talon, is the current president of Benin. He was an active party member of the ruling government at the time, went into exile. He received a presidential pardon, came back into the country, and under the anti-existing establishment narrative, won the elections in Benin. To underestimate the power of the people a people who are crying for change in how things are done, that is problematic. The next conversation is that, what does Alan Kyerematen represent? There's a man whom, right after he resigned from government, the first thing he did before he even pursued his political, before he announced his political ambition to run for the leadership of this country, put across what he calls the Great Transformational Plan. Never in our history has any candidate advanced his interest towards holding the presidency of this country by first showing you what his plan is. A plan that is much more robust than the Marshall Plan of 1948 that revived Europe in general. And Germany, for example, was revived based on the Marshall Plan. He said that a comprehensive Marshall Plan of industrialization, of digital mainstreaming, of trying to downsize the government, of an agricultural revolution is what we need as a people. He has a message that transcends your political identity, a message that transcends your ethnic background, a message that says that whether you are an Ewe, whether you are a Gan, whether you are a Dagomba, whether you are a Mampusi, whether you are an Ashanti, wherever you are, whether you are an Achem, as I am, you have a role to play in the building of our country.
Is that part of why, just explain, is that part of why he is saying, which is a bit interesting, Unigov back in the day did not work, okay? He is now proposing that even per this post and what we've heard, he will rope in all parties in terms of appointments and all of that, those who are apolitical, he's embracing all of them. And interestingly, in terms of appointments, ministerial appointments and all of that, he's willing to bring in both the NDC and the MPP. Does that mean then that, because as a political party you must have that sort of clout, a base, the MPP said they had the men and the women, whether they do now in the shape our economy and everything is, that's another story. But you must have those people who can move the machinery of government. If he's only going to come and fall back on the MPP and the NDC to get these people, how different will it be?
Well, thank you. So let's not underestimate the fact that there are very credible, competent people on both sides of the political divide. The challenge within our country is that your ability to form part of the government has been premised on, first and foremost, your relationship with that political party. The first line of contact has never been your competence. The first line is that, what is your relationship with the political party? And that is counterintuitive to how you can advance a government of excellence. We appreciate the fact that within the NDC are people of competence. Within the MPP are people of competence. Outside this political device are people of enormous competence and resources who desire to contribute to a national development agenda. The only way that we can develop as a nation is if we tap into all sides of competence and not limit our selection process of managing the affairs of the state based on your party card. So that whether you are a member of parliament in the NDC, in the CPP, in the PP, any political party you are a part of, that doesn't matter. All what matters is that be competent, be credible, be a person of character, and surely Alan Kyerematen will consider you in his government.
Okay.
And I think that we are at a point where the state is so polarized that bridge allows us to actually progress. And let me say this to our brothers in the NDC. The reason why many people in the NDC probably might be trooping in for former President John Mahama is mainly because they see him as a lesser evil to what the MPP is now. That for 4 years, John Mahama was voted out mostly by the people because they found him to highly not be up to task. Now, Mahama's ratings are so high against the MPP in the government simply because of how things have been managed. When we provide them an alternative where they can also play a role and they can also participate fully in government, we'll have a rallying cry where people will be willing to come out in all forces that, listen, it is no longer a matter of the lesser evil between a potential race between the Vice President, Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, and possibly John Mahama. But on December 7th, you have the option of choosing Alan John Kwadwo Kyerematen, a man who has spread his arm that no matter...
A man who has also been part of the MPP's... A man who has also been part of the MPP's governance, first under Kufuor and now for 6 years under President Akufo-Addo, who has also been mired in the same things that Ghanaians are complaining about. He can't detach himself from that, can he? Hello, Duke. Can you hear me, Duke? Well, it appears Duke is not with us currently. I'll come into the studio. Blunt question. Is the MPP afraid of Alan John Kyerematen? Are you, and the Vice President, you sit in the Vice President's office. Is he quaking in his boots? Because Alan has stepped aside. It's a seismic shift, whether you want to consider it or not. And especially when you were already going into a very tough election, trying to make history by breaking the 8, whatever that means. And now, to add to your woes, to add to the political fortunes of the party that have dwindled, the economic mess, inflation, and everything in between, you have infighting culminating in the resignation of a juggernaut like Alan Kwadwo Kyerematen, who is now saying, I'm going to now claw back at you. So vote no kwa obenyano be sambe teso.
Yeah, seismic shift at worst a tremor. It's not an earthquake for the MPP. Okay.
I see.
I say at worst a tremor. It's not an earthquake of a magnitude and degree that will make the MPP shiver.
I see.
And Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is aware that to win political contest, you can't get it from waking up from your bed. These things we are experiencing are bound to happen. That people...
You don't see that happening in the NDC. In 2004, when the Eagle Party, decided, and of course we know where it came from, then they formed the Grand Coalition. They got 1.9% of the votes, okay, led by, I think it's Nasigri Mahama, almost 2%. That cost the NDC. It cost the NDC almost 2% of the votes. Even if Alan is getting 2%, that's 2% that you can't afford to lose.
The fact is that you are assuming that he's going to get 2% of the MPP's vote. Well, I mean, from their analysis...
2% of any vote. It cannot be without impacting
the NDC vote. It is to our advantage.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Right.
So, for me, the final analysis, history has also shown that even the party headquarters is just here. NDP. I don't know whether they have moved. Okay. It was an offshoot of the NDC, right? In 2010. Okay, but in 2012, they still won their political power. Okay, so for me, a lot of things will come into the analysis. It's quite unfortunate that, Mr. Chair, even if you lose a single member, as a member of the NPP, you'll be concerned that a single member is leaving our fold. Even let's assume that he was not going with any member of the NPP. So we are concerned about that. But we are of the view that NPP has gone through much more turbulent situation and has weathered the storm and has come out successfully. Even on the back of 2016 election, we had to take a very difficult decision of suspending the party's chairman and the party's general secretary, and went ahead and won the election. People have thought that it was a very unpopular decision, and that decision, people thought that was going to be the final nail on the coffin of the NPP, but we won the election. On the election year, Mr. Kufuor's campaign coordinator, campaign manager, Alhaji Inusa, resigned in 2000. Mr. Kufuor took the decision and went for the contest, embracing the challenges, and won massively. Okay, we have...
the dynamics are not the same.
Well, dynamics are not the same.
The charge was in favor of the MPP at the time, all the way from 1992.
Now,
the charge is against the MPP.
Now, let's look at the... Why will you say the charge is against it? Because the MPP has got 8 years. And with the notion...
It's not just that. No, it's about the performance that people have seen.
No, even if we are going to compare performance between MPP and NDC on the back of the challenges, MPP can still be able to extol the records of the...
Your words. I don't want us to go down that road.
No, it is the data.
I think it's
which data? It is the data.
Which data? We are seeing the highest inflation in 2 decades. I'm saying that thereabout. That's where we've been.
The problem,
we've gone to the IMF. The
problem with your analysis is that you are doing.
And you want to tell me about
the problem with your analysis is that your analysis is problematic because you use static performance. The government had performed 8 years. You have to use the performance over the 8 years. If you use a single month, you are basically out of gear.
Which single month am I using?
If you use a single month of now inflation, 30%.
This
you are being
inflation is not
totally
30%,
wrong.
By the way. Inflation is about 40%.
I'm saying that.
Hold on. Let's do this. Let's not let's do it bit by bit so the people watching us can understand. Inflation currently sits around 40.1%. Okay. Food inflation is one of the highest on the continent of Africa.
It's okay. Yes.
Let me make my point.
I'm following you.
Fuel prices, one of the highest you would find on the continent of Africa. Our economic woes, we've borrowed more than all the administrations since independence put together up to now. And interestingly, even as inflation is at 40.1%, this is the best we've done in close to a year, in about 11 months. We've hit above 50%. Do you know what this means? Do you understand what this means?
So let me tell you what it means. And I've given
you are schooled in economics. Do you know what this means?
I've given you the benefit of raising them, and I'll answer them one at a time.
Right.
Okay. One, you've used inflation now, and you are going to use the inflation for this month to judge a government that has performed for 6 months. For 6 years, for 8 years. It is not going to be being genius to the fact. That is pure ingenuity. To use a government inflation for a single month, which is 40, to say that the government is doing bad. Or on the back of that particular month.
I cannot get your analysis. When the best you've had in a year is this.
No, that's not the best we've had in a year.
Inflation has been over 50%.
It is wrong.
In about 11 months, this is the best figure we've seen.
It is not
the 40.1%.
This argument shouldn't go.
So you're contradicting what the Ghana Statistical Service has been telling you.
I am contesting the fact that when you are going to measure the MPP's performance against the NDC performance, you are going to use their performance for 8 years.
Right.
As against the MPP performance for 8 years. You will not be doing that on a single month or a single year. That's the point I'm making.
Okay. Let me bring in the conversation.
That should be the angle we should be making this. You are making of growth. You have to use our growth for you will make a real impression that we have borrowed more than a single government. Of course, yes, volumes, that is true.
Right.
But have you gone to do analysis of the project that this government has done with those
projects?
The interchanges that have been constructed, no government has constructed
now
more.
Interchanges are important. I thought interchanges were irrelevant.
No, you asked for projects. Okay, you ask for projects. You ask for projects, and I'm educating you on the projects. Unless, of course, you are saying that it is not relevant.
Interchanges, right?
It is not relevant. Yes.
So interchanges.
Yes, we've constructed more airports. Okay. Airports.
Which ones?
No, even Kumasi is there. Tamale is there.
Okay.
Okay.
You hold on. We'll come back to
so
this.
We can give
I don't want us to lose your Deputy General Secretary. We have him on the line. I'll come back to that point. So you walk me through the others. Haruna Mohammed is a Deputy General Secretary of the MPP, and he joins the conversation. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you, my brother.
So we've got to this forked road, if you like, where some people are going left, others are going right, and some are siding with a certain Alan Kwadwo Kyerematen. Your party has come out to say that, I'm looking at page 13 of the Daily Graphic today, that his resignation was premeditated, it was some sort of plot, and that he should have made the party aware that he was going down this road. I've heard of calls that were made to him by the leadership of the party, but he's gone down this road. Now, let me be blunt. Dr. Richard Amoakoba, a political scientist, says this move by Alan simply means you are not going to break anything. You are not breaking any 8. You are losing election 2024. Professor Kobi Mensah says the same thing. And then we have this issue of hijacking the party. Dr. Kwame Asa-Asante of the University of Ghana says there are issues in your party to address when it comes to that. And he cites Kwame Pienim from yesterday, also saying that indeed your party has been hijacked by a few individuals. How do you respond to this?
Thank you very much, my brother, for this particular question. First and foremost, I want to extend my greetings to your viewership and also Dr. Kabiru in your studio. It's very unfortunate that senior members of our party who hitherto would have wished to make sure that the good image as enshrined in the party's constitution is what they project, but they move on to make this unguided statements which are not based on facts and that cannot test the test of time. I don't know which Dr. Amoakoba you are talking about. If it is the same person that I know.
Political scientist Dr. Richard Amoakoba.
The same person who doesn't believe in the positive performance of the MPP. And I am not surprised that he says that there is nothing to break. Remember, the MPP has a leadership, and the leadership of the New Patriotic Party have so taken a decision to break the 8. And we have the strategy and the work to make sure that we break this particular 8. We have responded to couples of statements that have been raised by Mr. Alan Kwadwo Kyerematen on point of law and precedent. And it is clearly that either he did not understand the constitutional provisions in the party's rules and the performance of the National Council. First, he says we hijacked the political party. Some people have hijacked the party. The General Secretary had explained into details the number of people who select a presidential candidate, and this is something that he himself is very much aware, that even in the last election that we have just done on it in the 6th, about 900 and something plus went to vote. So how could somebody sit and hijack 900 and something? All of us are well aware, and he was having the album to that particular election. The General Secretary took us through the memory lane of how elections were done and how electoral college has been expanded. So it is very unfortunate for somebody to say that somebody has hijacked a political party. You see?
So you're telling me that stalwarts like Kwame Pienim, and in fact, even Nyaho Tamaklo, who some of you... Hold on.
A suspended member of our party.
He is a founding member of your party, whether some of you say he is not a member now or not. He is a founding member of your party.
Suspended him.
Right.
Yes.
So okay, let's even pretend he's not a member of the MPP. He's a citizen of this country. He can share his opinion. He says that Alan should have even gone ahead to mention those who are hijacking, names of those hijacking the party. He was dissatisfied with that. You're telling me the likes of Kwame Pienim, with his pedigree, knowing, I don't need to tell you who Kwame Pienim is, are saying that the party is indeed hijacked by a few individuals. And from where you sit, nothing like that is going on. So Alan was totally off the trajectory, right?
Do you want to tell me that Kwame Pienim doesn't have the right to his opinion? And you want to tell me that the opinion of Kwame Pienim should stand the test of time to represent the entirety of the MPP? No,
not necessarily, but I'm also saying that would you not count it as crucial if someone like him says something like that?
That is his opinion. That's what I'm saying. We don't deal with opinion.
Okay.
He's bringing his opinion. And what he's saying is not the fact. That is what the party is saying. It's not a fact. Could he be part of those who hijacked the party? When he was chief of staff, did he hijack the party? When Alan was contesting and the system, including him, was supporting Alan, did they hijack the party? When they were sacking MMDC, Zabzugu DC, Mr. Bukari was sacked because he was not supporting Alan. Was it because somebody hijacked the party? Please, this party belongs to a number of people. This party is a democratic party. Everybody's opinion matters. Let's allow everybody to express their opinion. And when the majority carries the day, the person wins.
All right. I'll put to you the same question I put to Mahama in the studio. Is the MPP afraid now that Alan has decided to step aside? Some say Kennedy Agyapong promised a showdown, but Alan has given the first showdown.
Did you check the demeanor of the General Secretary when he was in the press conference? The MPP is not faced at all. That is why we say we are the MPP. We are not disturbed in any manner, but we wish that this never comes. But the MPP will move on to cling onto political power. That is exactly what we are going to do. Democratically, that is what we are going to do. When you are faced with a challenge, it is left with you to prepare yourself and meet the challenge and make sure that you distinguish yourself and prove to the whole world that you are a resolute party, a corporate institution that believes that you'll be able to solve your own problem. We are not going to behave like John Mahama, who wrote in his own book, My First Coup d'Etat, that as a young man riding the bicycle down the lane, he could not take a decision on his own. The MPP will take a decision, and that decision is going to make sure that we win political power in 2024.
Let's look at how much damage this likely will do to the NPP. You do say that the NPP will stand. You are the NPP. He has chosen the symbol of a monarch butterfly. And Duke Sasu, who is on hand, actually walked us through the symbolism of that. But political watchers have said, especially from taking into context where Alan hails from, the Ashanti region, and the sway he has, it could cost you big time in that region, especially considering that any time you score under 75% in the general election, it bodes trouble for the MPP. Any votes taken by Alan, whether from the NDC or the MPP, but knowing his stock, likely from the MPP according to political watchers, will do some damage to the party. What is your thinking on that? What is your reading?
First and foremost, if you look at where Alan comes from, if you say the Ashanti region, the General Secretary of the party is coming from Ashanti region. The National Organizer is coming from Ashanti region. The National Treasurer is coming from Ashanti region. That tells you that the NPP means a lot to get lots of the votes from the Ashanti region. This is the operational blood of the party. And I believe that these people are very young people who have resonated well with the youth of the Ashanti region, who have worked through with them, who have stayed committed to them. And the Ashanti region has always been the region that supported the party very greatly. If you go and see the energy in Ashanti region in terms of the support for the New Patriotic Party, I am going to tell you that we are going to score more than 70% of the vote. We have a strategy, and our strategy is within our circle that we are going to make it. And I want to make this particular point very clear, that the MPP has not changed what we want to do in 2024. Yes, we may have that particular challenge of Alan exiting, but ask yourself, if an eagle could not do anything to an elephant, what more of a butterfly? It is not going to stand on the ground. If you want to trace the history of symbols, it will tell you that the elephant that we all know, when the elephant falls in the bush, and myself, you, we are going to cut our meat and go home. I may even finish cutting, and then I'll get to the house, and I'll not even know that you are part of that. The elephant serves a lot of purpose. What does the elephant even do in the bush? Please, in choosing a symbol, that is very, very important for us to be able to do that. But he has his democratic right to do so. And we acknowledge his contribution to the New Patriotic Party. We respect him. We are not going to attack him. We are not going to insult him. But if he doesn't want to be responded to, then he should stop making negative news. Else, if he says something about the MPP, we will respond to him, because the constitution of the New Patriotic Party says so, that we protect the New Patriotic Party, the good image of the party, and to project it. And that is exactly what we are going to do. And point on, we have a president, we have a vice president, we have ministers. Any of them that has been attacked is an attack on the party and government. And the New Patriotic Party will come and defend this particular party, the sanctity of our democracy, and project forward to win the 2024 general election. All
right, Haruna, we're grateful that you took the time to join the conversation, and we wish you the very best.
Thank you very much.
Haruna Mohammed is a Deputy General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party. Let me come back and wrap with my two guests on this subject matter as we move on to another crucial matter which has to do with Albert Kandapa and Oliver Barker-Vormawor with that claim of $1 million. But before we get there, you were going to tell me about the MPP's projects which sort of substantiate. I'm sure you've had enough time to look up as many as possible that can be substantiated by the gargantuan sums of money that we've borrowed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even need time to go through that because most of them...
You mentioned interchanges.
I have interchanges. We've constructed more roads than any other government from the money.
Okay. Again, I will not be tempted to go down.
But the problem is that we don't want
the high contestations on that.
It doesn't want. We
don't have the time to go down that road. And
so if we don't have the time to go down, you are contesting.
No, I'm saying that I will not go into detail on that because that is a whole conversation on its own.
So maybe if you
resurfacing and all of that.
If you want to have conversation on the MPP's record, I mean, I'm always.
No, I just want you to list as many as you can.
I'm always available. I can give you the list. I mean, if you indulge me, I can. I
thought you could do this without.
No, I can do that, but you are saying that you want me to give you the list. Of course, I've mentioned of interchanges which has never been done. Many of such. This government has constructed more roads. Right. I've mentioned of secondary schools. Apart from the STEM schools that have come into the fold, we have constructed more classrooms. Okay, this government has done more, when it comes to agriculture. Okay, despite the problem you are mentioning about food inflation in the agriculture sector, this government has done a lot when it comes to what do you call it? What's the name? Rail sector. For the first time, we are seeing the pictures. Tema Mpakadan railway line. This government is the only government that has ensured that we have some state-of-the-art rail facility across the country. We are making sure so-many universities is being constructed. This government made sure that has been done. We are making sure that, in fact, on the expenditure side, when you talk of money, people will say you don't talk infrastructure. But we have sustained the health insurance that up to date, unlike the previous government where there were arrears, up to date we are staying current on the payment of livelihood services. That is the money we are getting. We are making sure we are staying up to date in terms of financing our free senior school. That is money. We have recruited more people than the NDC in power. That is money. Over 2 million people who are coming to vote.
I have a simple question for you. But before I get to that question, you spoke about the rail systems and all of that. Whatever happened to the SkyTrain? When are we getting it?
No, but I mean, that probably the details of such will have to be, the Ministry for Railway would have the details of that. As I sit now, I don't have the details of what is the debate. I remember when
will it ever materialize?
Depending on the financing arrangement. For now, there's a clock. There's a clock on financing over the challenges we are having currently. Inflows of, and even there's a limit of which government can add on onto the debt stock. That is going to affect
still within 2 months you've been able to add 6.3 billion to the public debt. So
but you see, the problem with such analysis is that you are forgetting that part of the amount coming is from the IMF concessional loan. You see, so that is the problem we have. That when you sign a program and the program is giving you money, you don't use it and say that still government is saying they are not going to borrow, they are going to borrow. Meanwhile, they have forgotten that it was a program we signed on to. And part of the program was to give you a concessional funding. So we shouldn't use those as a basis to hang government. You know very well that this is money coming in anyway as a result of the program. So if you sit down to use it to hang government, you are being mischievous.
I am being
No, you are, because you know that.
Do you know what I was going to ask you? In spite of all these things you say you have done, I mean, we could go into health and Agenda 111 and everything. Yeah. Now we are hearing that dialysis is going to shoot up, even in public institutions, from 300 cedis to 800 cedis thereabouts. Let's not even get there. When you go on the streets, okay, and you engage the ordinary man and ask, okay, so we've borrowed all of this. How do you feel this has impacted your life? I think as a party, don't let the media do it. You may think we are whatever. Sometimes you come and you think we're being skewed. You should do it yourself as a party. Go out there on the streets and speak to people. And these claims that you're making, run them by the people and find out. Because when we speak to them, what they tell us
is different.
It's very different.
I agree that the ordinary Ghanaian on the street and the people we are likely to interview on the street are feeling the pinch of the economic crisis we are having. And no one should take away that particular sense of difficulty from the people, and if they so complain, it will be genuine for us in government to admit and take whatever measures possible to ameliorate that difficulty. That's my position, and that's the position of the president and the government.
Okay.
But it is also insensitive and lack of recognition of government's effort to jettison all the good things government have done. Imagine this difficulty. Parents were still going to be paying their war school fees. Imagine this difficulty if the cash and carry system was back to operation. Imagine this difficulty if the poor, the vulnerable, who are benefiting from...
two things, parents paying for... Have you paid attention to some of the things they are having to pay for, even in the midst of free SHS?
I agree.
You are talking about cash and carry.
I agree.
When was the last time you went to hospital and used your national health insurance?
All the time I go to the hospital, I use...
Are you being serious?
I'm being serious because, look...
Go out there. Don't go far. Go to the very entrance.
No, I'm telling you, if you are not...
and ask people.
If you are not using your health insurance... if you are not using...
Don't come here and say
I'm saying that if you are not using it, it is your discretion.
Really?
But the health insurance... I'm telling you, the health insurance system is working and people are using it to subsidize for their healthcare provision.
Right.
So I'm just saying, even the provision the parents are paying, imagine they were going to buy that at the same time paying their war school fees.
Right.
Okay, so you cannot belittle or diminish the impact of the intervention government. But
so let's come back to the topic. We have to end. I want to go to Duke, but when I go to Duke, that will be the end. So I want you to wrap up. So this move by Alan, what is it going to mean for the MPP moving forward? What does this mean, basically?
Yeah,
as your wrap-up comment.
Basically,
and then I go to
basically again, I'll reiterate the point that it's unfortunate Mr. Alan is going. We wish he still remain and contribute. But like I said, if he feels he has nothing to contribute and he has taken the decision to leave, we have no option but to allow him leave. What it means basically is that MPP members who want to follow him basically will forfeit their membership, and will have to measure the extent of the loss and see in what areas do we have to make it up for. There are other people in the NDC who are disillusioned, who feel that John Mahama is not the option, and they want to find a new hope, a new leader who can associate with them. We'll look up to that and see whether we can get a number. We are also having to make a lot of impact in the north, because that's the stronghold, and even in the Volta region, those are the strongholds of the MPP, of the NDC. MPP will have to look and see how much more votes we can rake in from those particular areas. At the end of the day, I'm also counting on the dynamics that will play when the two leaders come face to face. At the end of the day, we know that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is going to win, and we know that the NDC has already presented Mr. John Mahama. We know that Mr. Alan Chiamante is going to be on the ballot. At the end of the day, we have 3 candidates at least out of, we can be certain that these people will be on the ballot. We will then look at the personality of this, who has the potential of bringing us power, who can deliver, who is much more a young person who understands the concerns of the youth. These are all factors we have to capitalize on and make sure that we win. For the focus of our campaign is that, look, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is not yet over for us. November 4th is still at the corner. We take one thing at a time, because who knows, even though out of the preponderance of the several evidence and facts and even research we've done, it shows that Mr. Mahmoud Bawumia is going to win the election.
Sure. Let me just ask you this, lest I forget, very briefly. Just give me a straightforward answer. So if election 2024 happens, the presidential election, and it goes into a runoff, let's assume Alan gets a chunk of the votes, maybe 5%, 7%, 10%, 12%, and that is how it goes. Will you now try to bring him back? Will you try to get him to support the NPP?
It's a runoff. It depends on the number of people also in the contest. If at the end of the day there are people together who makes up to maybe 20%, Alan is making 15%, and we get the 20%, Alan's votes may not be necessary. But in that crucial situation, you need everyone. But you are not getting him into the NPP. You are getting him to support the NPP.
Oh, so his support you will take. But, but even for him...
But he said if in the unlikely event he's elected as president, he needs the support of the NPP. He said it. Okay. Their spokesperson said it. So
thank you for those comments.
We need the support of any other person.
So you will still want to fall on Alan Kojo Kyerematen. Duke, you have the final say, quick reactions and your final thoughts, and then it's a wrap. Is that Duke?
Yes. Yeah, I'm right here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Please go ahead.
I'm wondering right now, how did we get here as a nation? For example, the Julobi protests started, and for 3 days, we did not get any official statement from the party, from the NPP, questioning the fact that how did we get here as a nation? Alan Kyerematen resigns, and there's a press conference. It tells you it's your priority. If you deny yourself, if you are into a self-denial to the state of our economy, being championed by the vice president, Alhaji Baba Mahmoud Bawumia, then there's a problem in this country. And my final words are this. To young people across this country listening to me this morning, from the Ashanti region, from the northern region, from the southern sector, wherever you are from, no matter your political affiliation, whether you are NDC and you are also peeved about how His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has led this country and has nothing new to offer, and how the incumbent NPP government is running the affairs of this country, you have an opportunity to be a part of a movement that will transform the future of this country, that will transform this nation. A man with a plan by name Alan John Kojo Kyerematen, a plan he calls the Great Transformational Plan, a plan that is at the level of the Marshall Plan, far greater indeed, is saying that he's inviting you on board, a movement that he wants you to champion, a movement that he will champion, a movement for change, a movement that will awaken all the people who are in self-denial to understand that power resides with the people of this country, and that our ultimate allegiance as a people is to the state and not to a cult establishment of a political party in any form. Come and join this organization and let's pursue an agenda called We Are Ghana. Ghana will rise again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So it's going to be quite the showdown, depending on which political parties take up the mantle and go through the EC processes ahead of election 2024. But we know for certain that the monarch butterfly will be there, the elephant will be there, and the umbrella. Who wins? That verdict belongs to you, the people. Well, thank you for joining the conversation this morning. We've had joining us in the studio. And let me just get the details of that. Tia Abdul Kabiru Mahama, Technical Advisor, Office of the Vice President. We have also had Duke Sasu, you just heard him a short while ago, member of Alan Kojo Kyerematen's campaign team. We were also joined by Haruna Mohammed, Deputy General Secretary of the NPP. Well, stay with us. When we return, we'll be heading to Buipe in the Savannah region. That area flooded, and it's interesting. The Bui Power Authority says we've not spilled water, but water still keeps getting into the community. There's been no rain. So where is the water coming from? It has displaced 1,500 plus people. We'll be getting into that story up next on the AM Show. Do stay. Welcome back on the AM Show. And before we head to Buipe and gauge the situation there, we're going to examine that accusation put forward by Oliver Barker-Vormawor, claiming that there was an attempt to bribe him together with his cohort with $1 million in order to drop some of what they've been doing, including the recent Occupy Julobi House demonstration. Well, joining us for a conversation on that, especially as the National Security Minister, Albert Kandapaa, is suing Oliver Mawuse Barker-Vormawor. We have Kweku Paintsel, he's a lawyer, and shortly we'll be joined by Yunusaf Hussaini as well. Mr. Paintsel, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you so much for always indulging us and engaging us on this matter. For you, from the very fundamentals, I'm sure you heard Barker-Vormawor make these claims. How did you take it when you heard him?
Well, I had my doubts about his claim that there had been an attempt to bribe him and that it was not even of recent times. And I was wondering how it came to be that he could hide that for us for such a long time and be talking about it now. But that's my own hunch, my own suspicion, my own doubt. But it's got nothing to do with the truth, if the truth really exists.
If the truth really exists, there's that quote by Robert Evans, if I recall, that says there's always, when it comes to the truth, there is your side, my side, and the truth. So we'll find out where the truth lies. But interestingly, you know, per the law, evidence is the name of the game, and he who alleges must prove. When I listened to Oliver reiterate that, I think on day 2 of the demonstration, he said he had evidence to back it up. He had recordings to back it up. But now the National Security Minister is suing Oliver Barker-Vormawor. What do you think about that move?
Well, the minister has got a right to sue, except that because he's a politician, politicians allow a lot of things to lie. But I think once in a while, one must assert his civil rights to push people into the limelight or the spotlight to be able to prove what they claim to have or say. Because if you remember Amina Yutong, do you remember Amina Yutong incident?
The Yutong case?
Amina Yutong, that lady who claimed armed robbers stopped their car and they compared a man to sleep with his daughter and created a lot of...
No, that specific one, I don't think I recall.
No, I'm just giving an example. I'm talking about loose talk. I'm talking about how people in this country make all kinds of allegations. There are no fact checks. There are no nothing. And those things linger in the minds of people. And in the course of time, people take them as truth. Now, the point I'm making is that once in a while, somebody must face the music for allegations that they make and be compelled to prove them. Because if they're able to prove, there's a defense of justification in the law of defamation, because we say truth does not defame. But if we allow people just to make all kinds of statements, allow them, these things linger, and then they remain in people's minds, then people begin to state them as facts. So my starting position is that as a minister, I'm sure he indulges a lot of these things and whatever. But once in a while, people must accept a certain right. And for that reason, I think the minister is doing the right thing by pushing the accusers to come forward with whatever evidence that he has. You also said evidence. Let me comment very briefly. I mean, with due respect, this is my own appreciation of the matters, because based on what I've heard, this gentleman is talking about having recorded. That is to say, the evidence that he's going to rely upon is a secret recording, possibly, that he made. And
right, and the law has its own stance on that.
Yeah, if that's the only evidence that he has, then I believe that he's got a lot of trouble along the way, because the clear position that our Supreme Court have in recent times made on these issues is that you cannot use or rely upon a secret recording made with somebody who didn't know you were recording him. It's against public policy and all of that. And
yes, Lawyer Paintsel, let's just unpackage this. He is a lawyer himself, and he knows what our laws say. There is also the court of public opinion. Imagine if this supposed tape, whatever it is, were to be put out there. We have a recent incident, the IGP case and the leaked tape. All of that is in there. Again, when it comes to our jurisprudence, barring whatever the Supreme Court has said, there are dynamics that sometimes change the outlook, especially when you look at the supreme interest of the nation. So if there is a tape that shows that indeed there was some promise of handing over some cash to this person together with his compatriots just so they would stop talking about national issues. Is that something that merely on the face of the law we can throw into the dustbin and say, because it came through this means, we cannot use it?
No. You said court of public opinion. I remember the minister dared him or challenged him to bring the evidence. Because if we're trying it in a court of public opinion, that's going to be a bombshell. And nobody even needs to go to court. If you publish it and the minister says felt offended by your publication, that's a different ball game. But we're talking about a court of law and having refused, failed, or neglected to publish what you claim to have. So the question then becomes, what motive does he have? Does he really have the evidence, or was he mere bragging, and so forth and so on? But it is my position that if indeed he decided not to play it in the court of public opinion, and he's relying on our law courts to accept that type of evidence, I mean, I wouldn't want to go into a debate as to whether this is admissible or not. I'm just stating the general position. I have a fair idea of the exceptions that may push some of these things in, except that I don't even believe that in this type of case or this type of, given the particular facts of this particular case, even if he has the evidence, then truly he may be permitted to push it in through the court. And that's why it's in his best interest to play this game in the court of public opinion, because then when we all have the evidence, then we'll even begin to shame the minister. Then we'll begin to say that he's trying to use the courts to block this gentleman from expressing himself or from telling the truth. Because the allegations are more than serious. If indeed we've got enough money in this country for the Minister of State, I'm talking about Security Minister, to use it to bribe people who want to express or exercise their right to all kind of rights, fundamental human rights, then we are in big trouble.
And it doesn't end there. He makes mention of the fact that it wasn't just the National Security Minister, Albert Kandapa. He mentions that a general of our army was involved, and I think he also mentions another name. I don't know whether it's the Interior Minister or something of the sort, but he mentions 3 people. I remember that day hearing him on day 2 of the demonstration, making mention of them. These indeed are serious accusations, but if he is able to provide such evidence, whether or not they can be used in court, and they purport to claim that indeed there was some move to interfere with his group's activities, what then could that mean? Could that backfire in the face of the National Security Minister if such evidence, again, whether usable in court or not, or admissible in court or not, were to be put out there, for example, in the court of public opinion on social media? How much damage would that make?
No, that would be serious damage, because that's what I've said. I said that if this thing were to come out in the public domain and we really know what's going on behind the scenes, so that's to say that a minister or a collection of ministers have the business of bribing people, either coercing, intimidating, bribing them to restrain them or stop them from exercising their rights, then it's more than serious. But then that would be in the court of public opinion, to the point that even if the minister was to have his day in court, everybody will know that what's going on is a sham. In other words, I believe Ghana, or Ghanaians being who and what we are, will rather trust in what we have seen and heard, and then begin to shame the minister rather for trying to use the force to gag him from expressing or telling the truth about the situation. Then, as I said, even if the minister were to win his defamation case in court, in the court of public opinion, everybody will know that he's a shameful person. I mean, that's the way, and how I feel about this so much, and that is why I am thinking that if indeed the evidence exists, there's no good reason why that evidence must not be made available to all of us to make our own judgment, regardless or irrespective of whatever eventually comes out in court. That's the best way, in my honest opinion. Except that, you see, the gentleman is not only a lawyer, he's more of a politician, he's an activist. And I think that this game is played best in the public domain. I mean, that's my own view, because I've been in that kind of arena before. I have a fair idea of all these issues of demonstration. We did it in those military days, and everybody's courting public opinion. At the end of the day, it's the heart and minds of the public, the people, and that's where the game is played. If you're a politician or you're trying to play that kind of game, but if he wishes to reserve it for the court itself, I'm talking about the court of law, to make a determination, I will tell him that he will lose out in the court of opinion. I mean, the court of law. And that's my gut feeling. He may or may not, end up the way I'm looking at. But I'm telling you, based on experience, based on knowledge, based on the way I know these things roll out eventually, that it is Oliver Bakaru's best interest to play his game in the court of public opinion. Talking about the other people who allegedly were present with the minister, let me tell you what, there's nothing wrong. People run a government. It's a government that is run. And a government or a minister for security makes no error if he attempts to meet demonstrators or organizers of events and try to cut them out in the national interest. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Without exchanging funds to seemingly coerce them.
That is so. Without bribe, without intimidation, without coercion and stuff like that. I mean, come on, they do it all the time. The law really expects that such things must be done. And when it comes to those matters, with due respect, it does not really matter. Any number of government ministers or officials can come together and pull those kind of deals out. So it's a legitimate weapon for a government minister to try and talk people out of intended actions and so forth and so on. But like you rightly qualified it, without all those trappings or those attractions or those intimidations. But at the end of it, my conclusion on this matter is that if evidence comes out that the money available to us as Ghanaians is being used to bribe people from exercising their rights, then we are in big trouble. We are in big trouble.
Okay, so just to wrap the conversation, I'd just like to find out from you. Looking at the legal dynamics, and yes, in a court of law, it would be pretty difficult. But if it came out and, like I said, out there, people realized that this is indeed what was happening, then again, it would create that friction between ordinary people and the law, the way it is applied here. Of course, we have our own rules in respect of recording people when they are not aware of what the situation is and using such evidence against them. But in such an instance, it becomes crucial, especially as we've been talking about corruption, bribery here and there. If you were counsel advising Oliver Barker-Vormawor and he had evidence to the effect that this indeed happened, what would be your counsel to him?
Oh, quite natural. Don't forget that now we even got pre-trial, conferences where you have to let your evidence, you have to avail the other party the evidence you're going to rely upon. So if this is going to do it in court, if you have the evidence today, I would rather advise him to send it to the minister for him to weigh his options very carefully. Even if with knowledge that the evidence may not be admissible in court, I will send it as a tactical weapon. In other words, I will ask you, because see, they claim that the evidence may not be admitted. Let me put it bluntly. At this stage, we are speculating. However strong the legal position is, don't forget that this is a common law court, and a judge has a right. This is not in statute, and a judge has a right to determine how evidence must be taken and stopped. So tactically, I will send the evidence to you, and you have to weigh and determine very carefully. Because once it comes in, however it comes in, whether it's smuggled in, even if it is rejected, don't forget that it still forms part of the evidence at every stage of the trial. Because even if it comes in and it's rejected, it is part of the evidence before the court that may go on appeal, or even the refusal of a trial judge to accept that evidence will itself become the subject of appeal. And that record is there, and it may be played, and other people may also hear it, and that's how it goes up. So I would advise clearly that he better sense it out. We're all interested.
Mr. Kwaku Painter, we're grateful for your time here as a private legal practitioner sharing his thoughts. The intricacies of this Oliver Mausi Bakavoma or issue, and now the National Security Minister, Albert Kandapa, taking him to court, suing him, so to speak. Well, that's how we cap off that end of the conversation. Up next, when we return, we'll be heading to Buipe to find out what is happening with our brothers and sisters. For days, there has been no rain, but their location, where they actually reside, has been run over with flood waters. Where the water is coming from, we still cannot technically say. We'll be finding out from NADMO on the ground what is happening. We'll be interacting with our correspondent from that region. That conversation up next on the AM Show. Let's head now to the Savannah region, and if you can see behind me, that is the state of Buipe. Well, some portions of it and everything that has happened over the last few days. Joining us for a conversation on that beat, we have Idrisu Salia Kamara. He is DCE for Central Gonja. He joins us on the phone line. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
It's really good to have you join the conversation. I know these have been tricky times for you and the residents in that area. But just tell me, what do you know of this situation so far, especially considering the source of the problem? The Buipe Power Authority says they have not endorsed any spillage of any dam. Yet, there has also been no rain. And yet, the waters keep coming and rising. What do you know about what is happening?
I may say I don't know much, but my suspicion is either Buipe Dam or the Bagri Dam. Because around somewhere 2 weeks ago, the Bagri Dam people gave us information that they will be opening the dam. They want to spill it.
How long ago?
I think about 2 weeks ago. So they have started spilling their water, or they have spilled it. Then these people to our Black Volta, the direction of the water is coming down from Buipe Dam area. And last year the water didn't go to the river itself. It was so on the river bank, the water. So the river bank. So the whole thing is confusion, whether it is the Buipe Dam or the spill of the Bagri Dam, or because the water didn't go far, that is causing the problem. So we are in a situation of suspicion.
But even as you suspect, if the Bagri Dam is spilled, does it come from the same direction as the Buipe?
Yeah, the two rivers meet at a particular point. We have a confluence.
So there's a confluence, right?
Yeah. So when they meet, the other one, the speed of the way the flow of our Black Volta will retard. It cannot move as it was moving, because there will be a pressure at the confluence. So the water may not get the chance of the way it was moving when they didn't open the Bagri Dam. But I'm not saying that it is that is causing it. As I said earlier on, we are suspecting the three issues. We don't know which one is causing the issue. But our river, the Black Volta, is flowing from Buipe Dam area.
So quickly, before I bring in Isaac Nonya and hold you for a bit, this is not the first time this is happening. It's happened for quite a while now. What usually is the cause? What usually is the source of this problem?
Yeah, last year it was flooded. And it was the Buipe Dam that spilled their water. And before they wanted to do it, they get us informed that they will be spilling the water. And we told our people, and some of them have to leave their houses. Those who didn't leave, when the water comes, they have to leave by force, because you cannot stay in the water. But this year, they didn't tell us anything. But per my my NADMO officer told me that I think 2 months ago, the WIDAM came and called all the coordinated, that is NADMO coordinators along the Black Volta, that is Bamboy, Bupe, and then I think this place, in Tampono. They called them to a meeting. And since then, they never engaged them again until this flooding issue happened. So that's why we are suspecting them too.
I'll come back to you shortly. Let me bring in Isaac Nonya, our Savannah regional correspondent. Isaac, good morning. What is the updates that you can give us in terms of the source of this problem and maybe any other pertinent information?
Yes. Before I go to substantive, let me assure Ghanaians that, assuming without admitting that we do not clean the water, that is true. We are going to establish the source of this flood within the week. Join me is doing that, and we have established 1 or 2 sources of cannot consent. But within the week, we are going to prove the source of this flood. Aside that, when you go to the ground now, those who were evacuated to the Asi primary for shelter, when we got there yesterday, what we realized was that many of the kitchens, we were locked out. When we tried to find out where the victims were, we told that they have gone away to put up with relations. And we believe that we said they were not comfortable, there was no security. And because of that, police were brought in to give them security. So in nutshell, the victims who were evacuated to the Asi primary are not there. They have left the place, leaving the tents empty. Secondly, the sanitation situation in Bupe is becoming a concern to many who are there. Why? Because the public toilets that have been submerged and the countless number of the private toilets that are also submerged and the water everywhere. There since yesterday, the number of people who were there, the minister, we couldn't control ourselves because everywhere is polluted with the toilet that has been carried out, the liquid waste that has been carried out by the flood.
I see. So as of now, we still cannot establish what exactly is resulting in this, right?
I don't want to say on air now because we need to confirm. There's a flooding somewhere, in the river somewhere, and that river source is linked directly to the Black Volta in Bupe. And there's a history that water from that particular community has caused Bupe flooding before. I tried to find out from NADMO yesterday. Both NADMO director and the DC didn't know about this source. So there's a substantive source of water elsewhere that is causing the flood in Bupe and not necessarily WIDAM, but in this particular case. So WIDAM has a case. If we're able to establish substantively about this particular water source they're talking about.
I see. Let me come back to the DCE, Idrisu Salia Kamara. So from where you sit, NADMO has not been on the ground because it says it lacks logistics. And I do not know what the update is. What can you tell us about that situation?
We are giving donations to the people. Like the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has given some water and some food items like rice, oil, and other items to the victims, whilst we are still waiting for government, that is the NADMO, to also bring their support. And I believe today and tomorrow we'll start receiving NADMO items by His grace, to support the victims.
So between today and tomorrow, likely we will start getting those items. It's been a number of days already. These people...
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I'm saying it's been a number of days already. You're saying between today and tomorrow. These people have not, some of them have not had food items for a number of days now. They don't have any proper place to shelter. It's been,
are supporting them. Not that they don't have food to eat. There's food. You know, human beings. Our issues are many. And in these situations, they themselves, a lot of them are farmers, some are businessmen. So food is not even their problem. You know, Bupe is a business community. Food is not their problem, but rather shelter. So yesterday, the regional minister of Savannah region has decided that we should see the overlord, that is Bupe Urajinapor, the second, at least he will give us some piece of land to support the victims so that they will relocate. So that it should not be every year we should be relocating and we're trying for people to come and help. No. So they have to relocate. And I know my good father, Bupeura Jinapor, will give us those piece of land to be given to them. Yeah.
So in the interim, I mean, even if these people relocate, what is going to happen to this land, and how do we eventually find a lasting solution to the problem? What is the plan?
No, it will be a part of the river. Because that land, it has no use. Because every
but people have houses here. I'm looking at a house right now. People have invested into these properties.
They can make good use of it by giving it to businessmen. You know, we have a very big market. People from Accra come to stay and do their business and go back. So if they can give it to businessmen to be sleeping and they relocate, anytime water comes, there's no much, alarm. You only just consider that, the river is full. And in 2-3 months' time, it will go out of the houses and it will be good for, the dwelling.
But you see, the point you're making that so they can create this mechanism where for 2 or 3 months when the floods come, they will evacuate and then come back. You know that the water is affecting the structural integrity of these buildings. It's weakening them. And it might create a disaster if they come back at some point.
In the future, we can take a decision to break all. After all, we have given them a piece of land to relocate. And maybe government will support them something small.
I see. Isaac, as we get ready to cap off the conversation, Isaac, is there anything new you found out on the back of what is happening to our brothers and sisters in the Buipe area? And how do you react to, since you are there, the DCE's comments, his suggestion? Hello, Isaac. All right. So it appears we don't have Isaac Nonya on the line. We also know that this area, the Member of Parliament there is the Lands Minister, Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Mr. Abu Jinapor. Yesterday we were trying to get him to react to some of these happenings in his constituency. We could not get him on hand. We're trying to do that today to find out what his response will be, especially as even when we interacted with the NADMO official, he made mention of the fact that he was hoping the Member of Parliament, the Lands Minister, would be able to marshal some resources and come to the aid of the people, his people, in that part of the country. And as of now, NADMO still without the resources to go ahead. Well, we now have John Jinapor joining the conversation. That is the brother of the Lands Minister. Hello, a very good morning to you.
Good morning.
We have this situation, and yesterday I spoke to the head of the caucus on this matter about these developments. Have you been there?
Yes, I've been there personally to inspect the extent of damage, and I can confirm to you that it's quite serious.
It's quite serious?
It's quite serious. I mean, I was personally constructing a mini bridge or culvert between the two areas, and as I speak to you, the flood is virtually taking over the whole culvert and washed it away. So commuters are unable to move from one end to the other. And so it's very, very serious. And a lot of people have been displaced as well.
So now that, I mean, this has happened in your constituency, Yape Kusogu's constituency, I'd just like to find out what you've been there. What has been the action so far? The last time I interacted with the NADMO official, he made mention of the fact that they were expecting you to do something about the situation. What have you been able to bring to bear so far?
Yeah, I've written to NADMO because that is the institution established to support victims. And I would have thought that given the enormity of the challenge, at least some officials from the national office would have visited the place, if not for anything, just to empathize with them. It's also unfortunate. I spoke to the district NADMO coordinator, and he indicated that they had no relief items, and that despite several calls to authorities, it does appear that nothing is happening. Also, the assembly, which is the local government agency that collects taxes from the market and district assembly's common fund, as well as levies from the cement factory and other businesses, have indicated that they've run out of money. And so I've had to personally try my best to use my personal pocket money to provide some little support for some of the people. And so I want to appeal to government, and for that matter, NADMO, to take this matter as a matter of urgency and at least provide some relief items to cushion the very difficult situation that the people of Ube find themselves in.
And initially, I even thought it was your brother who is in government. It is you, actually. You are not in government. You're in opposition. But you're a member of parliament. So you're basically saying that you've had to fork out money from your own pocket to aid these people. What sort of aid have you given them?
I've procured some rice, some oil. You may recall, and I have documentary evidence for you, that the last time there was a similar incident, I personally had to procure 100 bags of rice, 50 cartons of oil, and some cash amounts to support some of the victims. This time around, I'm doing the same thing. But that will not be enough, because that is my personal support. That is why we vote people into power. That is why we have a government. Because of some of these difficult situations, that is why government takes taxes from us for social intervention. So I think that government ought to do something, especially at this critical moment.
What should government do? So we admit that this is not sustainable. We cannot keep up with this yearly ritual where you go, you make some donations. In fact, the floods come, people are displaced, you go make some donations, NADMO comes in at whatever time, then it's over, we wait, and another year it happens again. Now it's the blame game. Bui says it hasn't spilled. We don't know whether the spillage was from the Bagri Dam or whether it is that confluence or some river along the line which has overflown its banks or what. We can't even find out what the real problem is. I've been speaking to the DCE for the area, Idrisu Salia Kamara. He is suggesting that, look, most of the people who have put up buildings there are business people. Sell them to, give them out to the business people in the community, let them take it over, and for the 2 months or so that the waters will hit, you people just stay away, then they come back. Is that feasible? What is a permanent solution?
That is not feasible. The truth is that they need a good drainage system there. This year, I provided an amount of about 145,000 to defill the main drainage, which is not concrete. It is just a drainage. And so I had to pay to defill it and to put a huge culvert on that section so that at least people can commute. Except that this time around, the rate of flow and the water level is so high that it's virtually overflown that culvert that I constructed. And so the major solution is to deal with the drainage system. So that when it rains, the water can find its way direct to the river. And so I don't think that the solution lies in people giving the houses out. The houses have been consumed already by water. So as we speak, it's of no use.
All right. We're grateful for your time, sir. I'm just hoping that more aid will come to these people sooner rather than later. But we're grateful, Mr. Jinapor, for joining the conversation.
Thank you.
John Jenapo, of course, is the Member of Parliament for Yape Kosogu. He joined the conversation. We've also interacted with the DCE for the area. But before we go, Isaac Nonya, I was looking for any further updates that you could share with us, Isaac.
Yes, the update is that the water level has increased. The same windows, they are going to wind level. And the environment stinks a lot. And those who are supposed to be in the tent have vacated the place. So, and the fact that there are not really attempts for them is one of the reasons why they are not there. They said they cannot be staying at a place that nobody can give them food to eat. So if they are relocated with family and friends who can feed themselves and also feed them. This is a single reason. So I can confirm that the moment they release attempt in to share these victims, they will all relocate to where the tents are. But let me conclude by saying that John News, within the week, we established the source of the buffet flooding. We are going to do that. That is it.
All right. Thank you, Isaac, for the scoop on that matter. Of course, Idris Salia Kamara is the DCE Central Gonja, the DCE, yes, for that district. And we also had Isaac Nonya, who is our correspondent in the Savannah region, joining the conversation. Well, up next, we have AM Business, as we'd always do, courtesy of EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. We have another installment lined up for you this morning. That up next on the AM show. Enjoy.
Looking for a safe, luxurious yet affordable home? Elegant Homes has chosen the right house for you at affordable prices. Ahead of the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair, we caught up with the Business Development Director of Elegant Homes and General Construction, Dorothy Kwashi, to find out what unique offers they have available for potential customers.
Elegant Homes is a construction and real estate development company. We've been in business for close to 2 decades now. And aside the estate that you see here, we have also executed some landmark projects. In fact, we build for people, we build for institutions, and then we do other personal jobs. And then we have another sister company, Elegant Homes Products Limited, that fabricates and sells high-quality UPVC windows, doors, profiles, gypsum adhesive, and accessories. So basically, that is how it has been.
Tell us about why you decided to be part of this year's EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair and how long you've been with us.
We've been with the EcoBank Habitat Fair for quite some time now, and I think the result is quite overwhelming. And normally it's a time for us to advertise, to also meet prospective clients, and then eventually generate leads that will lead to sales. So that is the main idea or the brain behind we partnering multimedia for Habitat Fair over the years. We have different models as you can see here. We have from 3 bedrooms, we have 4 bedrooms, we have different types of 3 bedrooms. We have the standard executive, we have the executive, and we have different models. The basic one is a 3 bedroom detached with 2.5 bathrooms, and then it comes with a fitted kitchen, it comes with a store, and it comes with all the niceties that one can get. And then we have 4 bedrooms also. The 4 bedrooms is what we'll be showcasing today, because over the years we've always been showcasing our 3-bedroom house. The 4-bedroom detached single story has a living and a dining area. You have a family area as well. You have all bedrooms en suites. You have a fitted kitchen with a store. And then it comes with 1-bedroom boys' quarters. And then basically it's seated on a 100 by 80 feet plot size.
The company, being privately owned, seeks to provide housing solutions to clients looking to invest in quality properties in Ghana. Coupled with a flexible payment plan, buyers stand to enjoy a 10% discount on all purchase made from Elegant Homes.
This is the house we'll be looking at. It's a 4-bedroom house, and it's called Aurora. Aurora House. It's one of our 4 bedrooms, and you can see it's a contemporary design. It looks very, very exquisite, very nice. Also, follow me. Okay. It is very simple and very nice. So this is the living area for the house, and this here opens onto the terrace. So we could have just entered from here if we wanted to sit here. You just open, slide open, and then you can sit there comfortably. And that is the lovely dining area that you can see around. Well set. The dining is quite close to the kitchen because as part of the theme for this year, we are looking at affordability, we are looking at comfort, and we are looking at luxury. But here in Elegant Homes, you can have all the 3, and you will still pay very affordable price for it. So this is the kitchen. A house must be very functional, very spacious. You can see when we talk of a fitted kitchen, this is what it comes with. This is the microwave, and then this is the oven. You get it, very new. And then you have the cooker, and then you have the extractor. You get it, and then you have your double door fridge. Very spacious kitchen for any family size. Yeah. Come to the family area. As I explained earlier, the 4 bedrooms have 2 sitting areas. So we landed in the main area, the living area, and then this is the family area. The family area enables the family to sit. And so for those who have growing up children, it is always good to keep them here. You can have their PS5 or whatever here, so that they are always here playing. They don't get to disturb you when you have your formal guests. So this is the family area.
So this is a 4-bedroom.
This is a 4-bedroom house.
So it means it has 4 washrooms as well.
Yes, in fact it's 4.5 because you have a visitor's washroom, and then each room comes with a toilet and shower, and then you have a boys' quarters attached to it that also has a toilet and shower in there. And then this is a mixed setup. You have a hot and cold.
Built by a driven team of experienced developers, the houses have many unique features ranging from state-of-the-art washrooms to in-house speakers in all rooms in the house.
It opens onto a very nice garden. See, there's the garden.
Do you accept people who want to stay for short periods?
You see, sometimes we don't want to talk about this because this is one of prime residential areas we are trying to create. As much as possible, you don't want to commercialize it as well, knowing very well that sometimes when you open the floodgates, you have everyone coming in, and then some years to come, the beauty of the place will not. We want the owners to occupy. I mean, when the owners are here, there's a kind of a sense of responsibility because this is all they have and they want to protect it. So we are very restrictive in certain things. For example, you can't commercialize it. You can't rear livestock here. You don't want to see pigs, goats around. I mean, for a place like this, people are retiring. They want their peace of mind. You will spend so much to come to a place like this, and then somebody will want to live here and then rear chicken or goats, which is not acceptable. So some of the rules are quite hard, but it's because we want it's for a purpose. You get it? You want to create a haven for people who can afford.
Are there recreational spots in the estate?
Sure, it's part of the plan. It's an ongoing project, as you can see. So we have demarcated an area for an event center, which will have a swimming pool, tennis court, shops, and all that. So all those social amenities will come under the second phase. This is basically the first phase.
Customers also have the opportunity to have houses constructed in models of their choice.
Are you open to remodeling? I know some customers come and they like the house, but they want certain things changed.
Yeah, it's possible. That is why we have the tailor-made service where we build to suit individual taste. So for example, a client can choose this design but can decide to have a roof instead of having it like this, can decide to have a roof, or can decide to change the layout, the floor plan. It is always done. We can do that for you, or we can design specifically for you. Any design of your choice, it's possible.
So this is one of the story buildings in the estate? Yes,
this is it. And this one is a customized one for someone. So you can see the story buildings are the extreme part of the tailor-made service. This was built from scratch with the client's own design.
We've seen a lot of amazing features in the houses and even outside them. So going into the Habitat Fair this year, the final event, customers will definitely see what you have in stock, but do you have anything to say to them?
Sure. What I want to say to our cherished customers is that make your way to Tema on the 15th to 17th for the 3rd mini clinic, and then the main fair that comes off in November. Come and see what we have to showcase. Before the event, if you want to call us or visit us here for viewing, you can reach us on 0244 699 053 or 057 659 7419. You can also visit our website and book for a view on www.eleganthomesgh.com, or you can send us an email through sales@eleganthomesgh.com. Don't forget, Elegant Homes is offering 10% discount on our prices. We are giving you a free video doorbell. We are giving you a fitted kitchen and many more. Elegant Homes is where quality meets value.
Welcome back, and this is all that time will allow us to do. Hopefully you've had a good time with us this morning as we've discussed on those matters germane to our national life. Well, we've spoken about Alan Kyerematen and everything happening as far as his campaign, his movement is concerned. We've also just had AM Business, and we also took a look at Oliver Barker-Vormawor and his claims of $1 million in enticement. Well, stay with us, because up next is Joy News Desk, and we shall be giving you more on the latest when it comes to some of these dynamics. My name is Benjamin Akatfo. It's been enjoyable hosting you. Hopefully, we'll catch up again same time tomorrow. Have a good day.